My light seems to have been disconnected. Hello, everyone. Come on in. Hello. Welcome to our Friday morning class. Hi, Carrie. Nice to meet you. Let's go in. And hi, Christina and Tess. Nice to see you back.
Good morning.
Hi, Saul. Hi, Mary. All right, letting everyone in. So, Carrie, is this I believe this is the first time I see you, right, in class? You weren't here last
Well,
week?
I've taken your class in
the
person, but
past.
that was years ago.
Yeah. Remember when? Yeah. But it's good to meet you today. Have you taken my Illustrator class or Photoshop? What was it?
I took your Illustrator class.
Illustrator class. Okay, great. So, hi, Tess. Nice to see you again. And hi, Linda.
Hi.
And Monica's coming in. Ali, nice to see you.
Hi, Diana.
All right. So as people are popping in, I want to remind you to go into the chat and give me a little hey ho of some kind. There we go. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to post the Padlet link here in the chat so that anyone who might have forgotten to post can go ahead and post their work from last class in the post. So there it is. I put it in the chat. Good morning, Ed. Morning, Monica. Okay, so how's it going? I, for one, can't get the light that should be shining on me to turn on. We had a bit of a scare the other day when you smell electric, and we went and unplugged everything, and finally looks like I unplugged this one. But anyway, hopefully you can see enough of me. There's a bit more of me here, but whatever. That little dark splotch in the middle, that's me. Most of the time you'll be seeing my shared Illustrator screen, so it doesn't matter. Last class, we created some of the basic material, basic tool. We use some of the basic tools that we're going to be working on today, but I want to make sure that everyone has the files that we didn't download last week. But let me first check in with Carrie for a second. Can you remind me, Carrie, do you have a subscription to the Creative Cloud?
Yes.
And it's active and ours. Good. All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you today to first download the class files. So that then we can start from there. We're still going to be doing an Illustrator as opposed to Photoshop. We start, well, a lot of the material is stuff we create from zero. That's the whole point of Illustrator. But sometimes there's things that I want us to work with. And so I provide a bunch of class files, although we don't use all of them. Some of them are good for you to have as resource. So let me share my screen. First of all, this is the Padlet that we've been posting to. So Carrie, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this concept because we weren't doing this when we were in person. Once we are done or in the middle of creating a project, few times per class, maybe, depending on what we're creating, I'd like you guys to do some screenshots of what you're up to, what you're doing, and then to post them here in the Padlet. So that link that I put here, and I'm going to post it again because some people popped in a bit later. Oh, hi, Saul. I noticed you coming in. So I posted the link again in the chat. When you go to that link, you'll go to this page, and this page is showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6 of the people who were here last class's work, or people who caught up later, who posted their work. So if you miss a class, make sure to watch the class recordings and then do the work and post it. That's the only way I can give you attendance. If you just watch it and don't show me that you've done the work and don't come, like if you watch it but don't do the work, or if you watch it but don't come to class, I have to drop you from the class. I need to see you producing work. And the reason the class is that way, not because, well, first of all, I can't walk around behind your computer to see what you're doing. So this is the only way to see what you're doing, unless you happen to need to share your screen with me, in which case I'm aware at that point of what you're doing. Oh, hi, Linda. I don't think I'd said hi to you. The reason is because this class is part of a certificate program. And if you take this class and all the other classes that are part of the digital design certificate, then you can get an actual certificate. And it's 4 classes: is Photoshop for photographers, digital design techniques, and there's a couple of options, and one of them is Illustrator. And I don't remember what the other one is, because usually most people take Illustrator. There's one more. Once you get, so all the classes, no matter that you care about the certificate or not, get graded by me as a pass, no pass. And it basically isn't about, do you do better job than someone else? So it's not about how well you are doing with respect to other students in the class, but it's about yourself. So if some of you have already, pretty comfortable with Illustrator, you're here to learn more, might end up at a different place than someone who's just beginning today and has never used the program. So if you post your things and I see you getting better, that's a pass, even if your product isn't as good as someone else's. Does that make sense? So I need to see your work. The other reason I need to see your work is because this is a class that is free for you guys, but it's because it's subsidized by the state and it's based on participation. So if you just watch the recordings and don't show me work done and don't attend even a portion of the class, then I can't give you attendance, thus we don't get paid for you, thus I have to drop you. Anyway, that's all the administrative explanation of why I need you guys to post and show me that you're doing the classwork. So all it takes is doing a screenshot and then uploading it here. Carrie, I don't know if you've done, you probably haven't done this before, but when we do a screenshot at some point, I'll lead the first one so you'll see how to do it. Other than that, since you didn't miss the first class, if you want some reminders of that kind of stuff, you can watch the recording of the first class. And so not only is it work that we do in class, which is great to see, because some people are in their beginning explorations of a shape and other people's are doing some pretty advanced things. It helps inspire you too into what's happening. I just want to look at all the different stars that Linda came up with out of the assignment that we did last week. That's not to say that you might do all these stars, but you can see how with the one star tool, there's a lot of variation possible, and it can go, oh, well, I know how to do all those shapes she showed me. I could have done this too. So then you can just push and do a bit more than the basics. I also want to notice that some people are posting other work that they do, which I really appreciate. So this is work that Saul here is making, and he's always creating some awesome stuff. And so he creates these from scratch. And he's done a lot of good work. So you'll see a lot of cool stuff here that Saul is working on. Linda, by the way, I think I mentioned it last week, but there's 2 new people in class. If you see that little yummy cinnamon roll that I'm just ready to bite into, that is Linda's actual work. She painted that. So in the video thing, not here in my sample, but in the little videos of people's portraits. So anyway, I love because you change what you show, but I think you must have been showing the cinnamon roll last week, because I remember being breakfast hungry or something. Anyway, so let's go ahead and head over to the class files. So let me show you how to do that. First of all, I need you to open a browser window, any browser window. It doesn't matter what you go, and go to City College, which would be sbcc.edu. And then here on the left side, you can connect to Pipeline. Now, remember, you can't connect to Pipeline unless you have your username and address. And to get the class files, you need to be registered in the class. There are some people who were registered and still couldn't see the class files, but I believe it's in the Photoshop class, not you guys. But if for any reason their Pipeline account isn't working well, you need to get tech support from SBCC student tech support. The last email I sent you with all the links and stuff like that I sent you after class last week, it's got all those links for tech support and stuff like that. All right, so let's head over to student resources. Okay, click on student resources. And then within student resources, we'll go to Google Drive. Now, I know a lot of you guys know this, but since there's a couple of people who've never done this before, let me know if you need a bit more explanation. So Carrie and Tess, you already did that yesterday for your class. But Carrie hasn't done this before. And then Christina, you were new to our class my system last week. So I'm not sure if you've had to come and get class files yet. So if you need me to
I
the way a
downloaded,
little bit better.
I
You downloaded
downloaded
them already? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I sent an email, but I didn't like tell everyone to make sure you downloaded them. So I'm just kind of walking you through. Okay, so shared drives. And then in shared drives, you'll have only one or two, depending on how many of my classes you take. I have a ton because these are all the different classes I take. So you'll see Illustrator shared drive. Double click on Illustrator shared drive. And this is the folder that we need to download. Now, the way I want you to download it is not by double clicking, but I'm going to show you. Some people make a mistake and double click and open it. And then you see the files. If so, you need to back up by clicking Illustrator shared drives again. You don't need to open it. You need to get to this folder and just right click and say download. Right click and download. Now, those of you who've taken my class before, there are some new files, some old files that you've seen. So throw out the old folder, keep any work you've done, and download this new folder because I've got new material in here that I need you to download. I also have, I opened 4 new classes last week. I had already been teaching 3, but I had 4 new ones starting last week. So I just want a reminder if I mentioned this to you guys or not. Did I talk to you about the food pantry and the Chromebooks in the Illustrator class? If you take 2 of my others, you might have seen it, but have I said it in the Illustrator class? Okay, in case I haven't, I just wanted to say that in if you need a second computer, like a computer to either take the class or because in this case, I always propose that you have one computer to watch me doing my demos and then leave the whole screen on your own computer to actually do the work. If so, you can borrow a Chromebook from the school. And that's good enough for the Zoom watching me do the work. And so if you want to do that, you can go to the Wake campus or to the Shot campus. You can also do it in the main campus if you go to the main campus. But for people who don't go there, you don't have parking passes, then these are the schedules in which you can go and pick up a borrowed Chromebook. Now, this is one of the files that I have here in the handouts. The other one is this poster about the food pantry that just opened a few weeks ago in the Wake Center. So if you've gone or known that it exists in the main campus, once again, it's hard to get parking and all of that. Now we have one at the Wake campus. You drive in and go all the way to the back in the parking lot to room 22. You can go once a week and pick up food from, you fill out a form once and then that's it. And anyway, it's really cool because now it's available to everyone who's in the Goleta area and anyone who doesn't want to deal with parking in the main campus. So that's the schedule. They're talking about adding some more hours. All of this information is in there, but I just want to make sure everyone knows. And I'm aware that some of you guys aren't in Santa Barbara. So this is just for people who are local who can go to the school and borrow a Chromebook and stuff like that. All right. The only shortcut that I handout that I want to mention that I want you guys to for sure download and have is this one that's the Illustrator shortcuts. Oh yay, Leticia is joining us. She's new too, so okay. Anyway, so this shortcut here is this shortcut. This handout with shortcuts is the one that if you have a printer, I recommend downloading and printing, because I'm constantly be calling out shortcuts and I'll be saying stuff, but when I'm not there to say the shortcut and you're working on your own, if you want to practice, if you're in any of my other classes, you'll see my Photoshop as it has a shortcuts one. Have it near your desk, and then you can kind of consult it until it becomes second nature. Now in class, I'll be showing it and saying it all the time, Command T, Command S, Command B, Command whatever, but it's to help you remember. So hi Leticia, where are you? Oh, she signed in, but she's not joining. It's not working. Okay, I let her in, but something must be happening. Okay. All right. I don't know what's happening in the waiting room. She can't seem to join us. Anyway. All right. So that's what I wanted to show you as far as that. If everyone's downloaded their files, there's other stuff in here that's good now, and then I'll assign them to you. But mainly once the class files have been downloaded, that's good. Remind me, is anyone on VDI? Mary, Saul, I believe, is on VDI, and Linda, right? And I believe Leticia, once she joined us. Ali, you're also in on VDI?
Yes,
Okay,
me
so
too,
that's
yes.
5 of you guys. And Leticia will be again. I need to type her a message. Somehow the waiting room, she is not letting her in. Let me send her a message, and then I'll be with you guys.
Diana, this is Carrie. The file I downloaded is download Illustrator class files summer 1
Yeah, I forgot.
20. Is that the right file?
Yeah, I forgot to change the name. Sorry.
okay.
Let me rename it Fall. I added stuff, but I didn't change the name. There we go. Let me see. Oh, there we go. She's in. I don't know what the problem was, but now she's in here. Okay, give me. All right. So yeah, that's the class. That's the files that you need to download. And once they download, they might be zipped. So if you have a PC or a Mac, you might need to extract them. I'm not sure. They're not big files, so probably not. Give me a sec while I talk to Leticia. Hi, Leticia. Can you hear me? Leticia?
Sorry. Hi,
yay.
sorry, I'm late.
No, I just wanted to make sure that you could hear me because it looks like you were having trouble getting in from the waiting room.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I know this is your first day. Did you get a chance to catch up with any of the material though in the email that I sent, or not?
Not all of it. I started and
okay, but you have
I still have some to go. Yeah.
All right, but the big question I have though is, are you do you have the applications, or are you going to be using VDI?
I'm going to be using VDI for now.
Okay, have you used it before?
No, but I did practice getting into it last night.
With the okay, great. So then let's do that. Go ahead and try to get into it, everyone. I'm in VDI already, so I'm sharing my VDI here. And for those of you who are on VDI, remember that the most important, so it's like about half of the class today is on VDI. The most important thing is signing in to the Google Drive cleanly every single time. And then at the end of the class, signing out of Google Drive. So those of you who are on VDI, make sure that you get, I've already signed into mine, so I don't have it. But you'll see a big old, when you're done accessing here, you'll see a big old thing saying sign in to Google Drive, and use your entire pipeline email address. Username at pipeline.sbcc.edu. So typo pipeline SBCC. We're in a band-aid and it types 2 fingers at the same time. So I just put username pipeline, the whole thing. That is what you need to put in the Google access, Google Drive access, and then you'll have the files. So anyone who's on VDI does not need to download the class files. But then go over here to this little start button, the Windows button, and then scroll down. Well, you don't even need to scroll because Illustrator is right there, and start it from there. I just want to point out that on VDI, we're using Illustrator 2022. It's the class, the school still is using 2022 versus those of you who are using the Creative Cloud of your own, you will be in 2023. I do have 2023 open in my own computer, so that if there's anything that looks very different, I can consult in there. And there's only a few things that are different, actually. In fact, here, so it's not such a big deal. But some things are different now and then in the tools and the way they show up. And if something looks very different than mine, don't just say, oh, something must be wrong with me. Tell me, we'll look at it and we'll try to figure out where, how to get that to work for you. Okay, so now let's go ahead and turn this little guy. If this is the first time you open it, it'll show you what's new. Now, this is what's new in 2022, but just a point of saying that if any of this is interesting to you, you can just click on it and it'll take you to a page in the internet where you can learn more. For now, get rid of it. And again, this, I never really talk about this welcome screen, but for those of you who are in between classes wanting to know more, just so you're aware, if from this welcome screen, you click on this little guy right here, find more tools and tutorials and search an app, it's going to open up in the internet. And there's a lot of really cool tutorials there that are simple to follow that could teach you quite a bit. I also want to point you, I'm going to back up to where we got our class files. When you are in Pipeline, right before you click on Google Drive, down to choices, you have LinkedIn Learning here. LinkedIn Learning is a site that has ridiculous amounts of tutorials of everything under the sun. And it's usually a pretty expensive subscription if you want to do it. But so if you go on your own to linkedinlearning.com, I think it's like $50 a month, something like that, to get the equivalent. But if you click from in here, right, choose without connecting to a personal account. If you've ever made a personal account, don't connect to a personal account. Just go straight to do not connect my account, and then it'll give you a school account, and that one will be free. So if you connect through LinkedIn this way each time, you'll be able to use all of it and all of their tutorials for free. So anyway, just thought I want to make sure that everyone knows about these resources that the school is offering. All right. So does everyone have Illustrator open and ready to go? Oh, looks like Leticia got dropped out again. She must be having issues with the, okay, I'm going to stop worrying and keep going because something's happening with her Zoom because she keeps dropping in and out. All right. So we're going to go ahead and looking at the class files, and I'm going to look at them over here. I just wanted to show you that there's some of these files are and actually Adobe Illustrator files, so you'll see .ai, but sometimes we have a couple of JPEGs and stuff like that, or PNGs. Now, these are files that we can actually work on to turn into illustrations. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can have a photograph. This used to be a photograph of someone and it's been turned into an illustration in many different ways. So that's why these are here. I also want you guys to start practicing in between classes. We have once a week class, so there's a lot of time in between for you guys to just bring in your own materials. It doesn't have to be the materials that I'm presenting. And then to put some of that work in the Padlet. But I also have some other files here that I'm going to be putting here as a sample. So we're going to be using this one in class, right? And then this is a one that's got a bit more to it. And so while this is the one that we'll be using in this class, if you want to challenge yourself and show me more, then you can open the next one and then just try to work on that one and move forward that way. Okay. So just because we don't use all these files in class doesn't mean that they're not there to give you ideas. and then hopefully help you move forward. All right. So there are, I was wondering whether to use a landscape or the car. I think I'll use the donut car today. So let's go ahead and from our class files, let's take a peek. Oh, we don't have, I usually have you guys open Bridge, but you can't. So instead of opening through Bridge, I'm going to show you it through here. When I teach Photoshop and digital design techniques, I have people use Bridge, and Illustrator is the only one where I don't bother with Bridge because we don't incorporate it into the assignments that we do in this class. But just so you know, Bridge is a program that you can download together with all of the edit that allows you to look at files and see some of their information. I'm just going to go ahead and open this one here because we can't open it as is in Illustrator. So I'm going to double click on it here so you know what I'm talking about. If you look at a lot of the files that I put here that are just JPEGs, like, or PNGs, which are just files that are pixelated, so they're not vector files. Oh, here comes Leticia again. I don't know if she's going to be able to stay connected. Okay, let her in. So these files are probably, I'm assuming whoever made it might have made it in Illustrator. It seems like the right place to make this file. But the whole point of us having it here, sorry, I need to open again. The whole point of having it here for us is to notice that in some it's very obvious, and some is less obvious. In this case, it's very obvious that a lot of this these shapes are made out of basic shapes, the same basic shapes that we studied last week, right? We just went with circles and rectangles, and okay, we added a star that there's no stars here, but pretty much all of these shapes can be made by starting with basic shapes and then chunking or taking pieces out or joining pieces to end up with these shapes. So we're going to try to recreate and imitate this this file with the tools that we already have and know just from one class. And then there's a couple of things that I haven't taught you yet to create things such as these curves and the icing and things like that. So we're going to be working with that, but most of it is going to be pretty simply what I called, remember I called them last week, native shapes, which are the ones that are closed shapes and that are, you know, the circle, the pentagon, the rectangle and stuff like that. Those are called the primitive shapes, not the native shapes. I'm sorry. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a new file. Let me actually address Leticia. I see that you're dropping in and out. I'm not sure if you were able to connect yet to VDI and to the files. Let me know where you're at so I can help you stay caught up.
Yeah, sorry. I had to reboot the computer, so it'll be a few minutes.
That's fine. Just that's what I'm saying. Let me know whenever you get to the place that you need my help to help you catch up, and then meanwhile I'll continue with the class. Okay.
Yes, no worries.
Just let me know
Thank
where
you.
you are. You're welcome. All right. So I haven't used if you haven't used Illustrator before, then you will be set up here with a new file that is a default set of sizes and shapes. If you've used it before, it'll be trying to default to the last version that you created. So depending on where you're at, you'll see a certain set of numbers or another. It's always going to try to give you more of the same of what you normally do. Up here at the top, I think last week we went through why you would go through one version or the other. I know exactly what I do or not teach you inside of Illustrator, but sometimes when the panels are so similar, and I started the same day, 2 different classes, which I started Photoshop and Illustrator last Friday, I need you to remind me if I actually talked about this in your class or in the other or in both, because although I take note of what I teach you in that class, sometimes these things that are identical, I might assume that I've explained it already, and then I might have not. So anyway, did I talk about this? People who are only in my Illustrator class, did I mention
Yes.
this? You're also in my Photoshop class though, or in my digital design techniques class. So you're less trustworthy in this sense because you might be remembering it.
And
from
I've
my-
only taken classes from you for years now, but the answer is yes, you did go over them last.
in the Illustrator class. All right.
Yes.
So basically, what we're going to do right now is we're going to again work with, imagine that we're doing something that's in print. So let's start with the presets of print. And then over here on the right side, let's change. Last time I showed you, I believe I showed you in this class how to change the from points once the file was already created. Now I'm going to go ahead and have us change it to inches from the very beginning. Now, let's go ahead and change this and create a square file so we don't have to worry about format. So we're going to go ahead and write in there 5 by 5. And then it's irrelevant of what orientation because it's only 5 by 5. And then let's go ahead and start already with 3 artboards. So artboards is what we call the pages in Illustrator. They're not pages, they're artboards. So let's click over here and move this up to 3 or type in the number 3. For those of you who are in my digital design techniques class, you know that we set up the last file with bleed and margins and stuff like that. We're gonna ignore that right now. The only big difference between having written print or web or mobile at this point would come down in what's choosing and the choices here with color mode showing up as CMYK versus RGB. CMYK means that this will be printed with inks. RGB would have meant, RGB would be the other choice here, would have meant that it would be printed, prepared only to be looked at through screen. And so when I try to do RGB here, there's this warning that whoops, you just said you want to print this, you can't use RGB. So that's basically the warning. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to CMYK, and then everyone is happy again. Now, if you're going to be printing images that have pixels, I'm going to be bringing into this Illustrator one of those photographs like the bird photograph. It's important to let it know that I need it to be at least 300 ppi. But we're not going to do that today. Today, we're just creating stuff in Illustrator that is vector. Pixels or photographs are not part of this image. So this is fine that it's there or not, but it doesn't matter to us at all. It just matters only when you bring in material from that is pixelated or raster files, stuff that is created and worked on traditionally in Photoshop. All right, so now we have those basic settings in here. There's more that we could be dealing with, but since we want the basic stuff, we'll just say create.
Diana,
Yep. Click on
just an
create.
interesting thing. On my version of Illustrator,
Yeah.
the create and close buttons are reversed. They're
Yeah.
right.
That's because you're on a Mac, okay? So
Oh, okay.
on a Mac and on a PC, what you'll find a lot of times that what's on the top is on the bottom, what's on the left is on the right. The stuff is there, but it's inverted. And I'm showing you VDI. VDI is the PC version of Illustrator. On my own computer, I have the Mac version of Illustrator. When it matters, I'll show you the difference. But yeah, the new file will be there and the old, create. Yeah, that's just.
In other words, PC people are backwards. No,
depends on whose point of view.
I'm I'm going away. Bye. I'll be here next week.
All right. All right. So this is the layout in which we the initial setup that Illustrator chooses when you choose 3 artboards. Like I said, by default, you could choose them to be one after the other or stuff like that. But by default, if you say nothing and you just say, give me 3 artboards and don't change the settings, it starts to create them in this mode, kind of more like a display mode. Now, what if I wanted more artboards or less artboards? Each one of these is going to contain material that I can, in Illustrator, you wouldn't be creating any document that has many pages, for example. So if you're trying to create a booklet, this isn't equivalent where you'd put page 1 here, page 2, 3, page 3 here, right? Why you would have 3 artboards in Illustrator would be, for example, maybe one of the pages, one of the artboards, so to say, you might be creating the elements. Maybe you're going to make a landscape, and in one page you start creating little flowers and little mushrooms and little mountains. You create the shapes, and then in the other one, you actually assemble it as a landscape or something like that, where you have to put multiple of those flowers and changes and stuff like that. So that would be an example. Another example would be if you're doing marketing for a business, and then you have in one artboard, you have the letterhead, and another one you have the business card, another one you have the labels for the wine bottles that you're making or whatever it is. So you can have different artboards holding different material for one same client or one same marketing or one same set of products. So if you guys go over to the files, let me show you an example of that. Let's go to File, Open. So now we're starting, we don't have the welcome page anymore. So this is where we open a new file from. File, Open. And for Mac people, the file is way up at the top of the entire display. It doesn't show up right here. So we're going to say File, Open. And I want to see if we can all go and find the files that we just downloaded. For those of you, half of you who are on VDI, how you're going to get to the files is, first of all, for people who are at home and doing their own, go to your downloads folder, Mac or PC, because that's where you will have the set of folders that the folder that you just downloaded. For people who are on VDI with me, we're going to head over here and click on Google Drive. And then from Google Drive, we're going to get over to Shared Drives. Double click on Shared Drives. And then you should have only the Illustrator Shared Drive available to you, unless in you're another one of my classes, you'll have another one too. So Illustrator Shared Drive, open that. And then here's the folder that contains our files. It is called Download Illustrator Class Files. And in your video, you don't need to download it. It's just called that. Double click on it. And here we are. We're inside the folder that has all of our different images. Now, for those of you, let me head over here for 1 second. For those of you who are in your own computers, you might be choosing to see your images more like this and by icons, which I can't do inside of VDI. And so if you want to find the file, I'm looking for the file, and where is it? It helps. I missed Rich, because in Rich I can look for things this way too. And I'm trying to find what I'm trying to show you. Give me a second. I'm having a hard time remembering what it's called. Is it this one? I believe, oh, Navigating Artboards. There it is. Thank you. Such a logical name, and I couldn't find it. Okay, go to the end. And here it is, Navigating Artboards. Right? So you can double click it or click and open from here. And we're going to be in a document that is an example of multiple artboards. Not only that, but multiple artboards of different shapes, different sizes. Okay. Now, let me know with a yes that you were able to open the file, and give me a no, a little red no, if you didn't get there, because this is the first time we access the class files. I want to make sure that everyone has it straight and is able to get to their stuff. So if you don't have your file, I'm going to assume that you're still not there, given that you're still starting your stuff up. But everyone else hopefully has been able to reach it. Monica, you're in your second. And so, okay, I got yeses from everyone. Christina, you got it? All right. All right. So this is an example of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 artboards. So notice that I believe this one holds letterhead and then different folders. There's a postcard. Here we have a business card. How do we create these differently shaped artboards? Now, for some reason, I need to reset my essentials because this border wasn't open. So in case you're not, your document should look like this. If you were like me, where it was collapsed, or if you see anything different, go ahead and go over to the artboard, to the workspace, and make sure that we're going to be working to start with. We're going to be working in the essentials. And when you click on the essentials, nothing happens. If you've changed things, what you need to do always is go to reset essentials. And that really brings it back down to how we all need to start having the same tools to use. And over here in the properties panel, you'll see that there's a choice, unless you have something else selected. And this is important about the properties panel. It gives you, it only shows you the things that you need based on where you're at. So notice the choices I have right now versus I'm going to go select something, anything. See how my properties panel's changed completely? Now I'm going to click on this pasteboard and deselect that. And then my properties panel changes. So the properties panel is going to always have a different set of tools. It's not one of those fixed set of tools that you can always count on, but it'll be giving you about 90% of that which is possible to be done with whatever it is that you're about to do. So if you have something selected, I'm going to select this background. It changes to what can I do with this background? Oh, well, maybe I can change its appearance, make its alignment, offset it, align it, recolor it. If I click on this one little item, oh, well, what can you do with that item? You can triplicate it, you can ungroup it, you can group it, right? So it's always changing. And if I'm in the artboard, then the pasteboard is this gray area here in between files. If I click on just the pasteboard, does nothing else is selected but the pasteboard. That's when you get to edit the artboards themselves, okay? So let's click on edit artboards. And the moment you click on edit artboards, you'll see that each one of these not only has a number, but they become objects themselves. So your tool that you have here has two shapes, either this shape when I'm above, when I'm on an artboard itself, it has this four-headed arrow, which is for clicking and moving an artboard around. So if I want to first have, you know, this artboard here instead of another artboard, right? So I'm moving it. I can also, with this tool, change its size. So I can go to the corners and decide that I want to make this to be a smaller artboard. Of course, if I do that, be aware that I'm leaving the art of it behind. I can make it long and thin. I can change things about this artboard. I also can select a different one. So now I'm going to go over here and click on this one. And then once the handles are available, I can start moving this one around. Now, when the tool is in the pasteboard in the middle, it looks like a little fish diving down or something. I can actually click and drag and create another artboard. So we used to have 8 artboards, now I've created a new one. And I can create it in whatever shape and size that I want. Now be careful to not create artboards on top of the other, because these really are your pages. It's not like these aren't objects that you're designing. They are, each one of these is a page. So if you're going to have an artboard, you need to have it be isolated from each other. When you click, when you don't want one, you say, I didn't really want that one, and you hit delete. Notice that the one that used to be called 10 now becomes 9. I'm going to create another one here that's 10, but then I'm going to delete number 9. So that one becomes 9. So they really are numbered sequentially, telling you how many artboards you have. All right, so that's using artboards. Now, normally, once you've already designed something, it makes no sense to change the size unless you want to reshape an element or something like that. This is just about why and how we can have different artboards. Now, if I just want to, so now I clicked away from the artboard tool by choosing the move tool. And that's why all of the numbers, so to say, that each artboard had disappeared. But if you don't want to go to the properties to click on edit artboards, the other way to get to the artboards is actually in the tools over here. Here's that little, I call it like a diving down fish or whale or something. If I click on this tool, it's my artboard tool. And there we go. That's equivalent to having said edit artboards there in the panel. Now I have the tool and this is it. Now I can say, oh, I didn't really want this one, or I did want that one. Let's get rid of it. I hit the delete key, or I create 2 or 3 new ones. Okay. Now, I I can also change their size. I can actually create one, select it here, and then give it a very specific size, you know, if I want to make sure that it's, you know, 10 by 10. So I could do that here. And then it shows up. Okay, so everything I just did. Oh, I just grabbed some of the material that went into that. Everything that I just did here is to show you that what's possible. Now we're not going to use this document. We're going to go back to the one that we just created that has 3 artboards, and we're going to see what happens if you actually use the edit artboard right here in the properties. So don't have anything select. There is nothing to select in these. These are just 3 blank artboards. If I go ahead and head over then to the properties edit artboards without opening them up, I can use this to flip back and forth. So I can have it show me artboard 1, artboard 2, artboard 3. Now there's nothing on them, so it's hard for you to tell, but you can see that things are flipping, right? 1, 2, 3. So that's one way to navigate amongst my artboards. Or I prefer to, when I'm really trying to go from one artboard to the other, if you zoom in or out, like command minus or control minus, command or control minus, and then you click your space bar, right? When you click your space bar, your hand comes up, and then you scooch over to whatever artboard you're trying to go to, and then control plus to zoom in. Yeah, I don't have anything here, so. Okay, so now I moved to my 3rd artboard, or I'm going to scooch over to my 2nd artboard, or I'm going to scooch over to my 1st artboard. Okay.
Diana?
Yeah.
So Illustrator doesn't have a way of you doing a key command like in Photoshop that says fit to page.
Yeah, and down here you can do that too. So here at the bottom,
But it doesn't have a command that like command O, you know, that
I believe you do. It's a go-to. I don't use it, but yeah, controller command O is more for open. And see, I just did controller command O and it did open.
I'm at 0. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh,
0.
yeah, no, that does work. The command control 0 is 100%, but it's 100% of one page. So if right now I'm in page, I don't have any objects on this, so it's a bit different. Let's make 3 quick little objects. Grab your rectangle and make an object here, make an object here, make an object here. It doesn't matter what you're making and what they are. Create 3 objects, because once you have something to select, something in your document, then it starts working. So now we've made 3 little whatevers. I don't care what we've made, but I'm going to say that I want to zoom in and be at full size for one of these pages. It wouldn't know which one to show me, but if I select an item on one of them, then the control or command 0 fills my screen with that whole artboard of the one where I selected something. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go command minus, command minus, command minus, and I'm going to now select this one. Let me make it tall and this one thin and long. Okay. So if I have nothing selected, so this one's square, let's call it square, right? And if I have nothing selected and I say controller command 0, it defaults to the first page to show you that first page full screen. Okay, I'm going to go command control minus, and I'm going to now select one of them, which is the tall and thin one. And if I say control or command 0, then it prioritizes making you fill the screen with the one where you have a selection made. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay. So yeah, now
I actually looked in the view and there is one fit all in the window. You just have to remember what the heck those icons for keystrokes are.
Yeah, so but this, yeah. Now here's the thing. If the fit all will always be per artboard. It won't be all your artboards as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there's any that's for all your artboards at the same time. Is this where you mean? I don't.
If you go to view,
yeah, I don't see.
okay, and go down where it says
Fit all
yeah,
in
all in
window.
window.
Alt control 0. Oh, then it shows you all your artboards at the same time. Well, there you go. So it's not only control 0, but it's alt control 0. Or for Mac people, it would be alt command 0 to see all your artboards at once. There you go. I just zoom out and zoom in that way to see them all. But if you, now we know that there's the Control Alt 0, fits all three of them at the same time. Or in this case, if I want to see if I'm zoomed in here, zoom in, if I'm zoomed in here and I want to see all of them at the time, Control Alt 0, and I would see all my artboards. Cool. Well, there you go. Learn something every day. I hate when in VDI, if I use the wrong shortcut, this happens, which it just happened. There you go. And it gets really small. All right. The reason I have issues with shortcuts in VDI is I'm a Mac person and I do all my shortcuts on a Mac. And when I'm showing things in VDI, the first thing I want to do is hit the Command key. And then when I do that, I end up changing the structure. VDI goes a bit crazy. So I have to always remember to stick with one or the other. All right. Cool. So now let's add some new artboards without drawing them, because sometimes you just want to add more artboards, and it's typical of what we're doing that we want to add more artboards here. Since there's something selected, the artboard here tool isn't showing up in the properties, so I need to make it have nothing selected. So it's when I call click away. So I'm going to click on some neutral place that has nothing. When you click away to avoid a selection, that's when the edit artboard shows up. Let's click edit artboards one more time. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say add artboard. So I'm going to go over here to this little plus sign icon, and I'm going to click plus and another plus and another plus. So now I have artboard 4, 5, and 6. So I've added a whole bunch of artboards. And again, if I want to see that, then with the new shortcut that we just learned, it's a Control or Command Alt. By the way, when I say Alt on the PC, it's Option on the Mac. So Command Option 0. Notice that when you create new artboards here, they always add them up in a line, in a row. Like when you make them yourself, you put them wherever you want. But when they're created by this little plus sign, they go 1, 2, 4. The third one ends up kind of out of place because at first they had given us 1, 2, 3, but now they get created. And that kind of weird word. Last thing I want to show you is this down here. I'm going to head over and do this again on the navigating artboards. I'm going to actually undo some of the latest artboards that I had created. I'm going to go down and show you all of these. And when I said that if you edit artboards either with that tool or with that tool and you make it bigger or smaller, what is missing on that, if I move the artboard, is that the first time I did this, the artboard moved and left behind the art. But now I checked move art with the board, and now I can move it and not leave the art behind. You see that? So I can decide to move this and all of the art will come with me if I'm just trying to move things around. But if I were to try to make it smaller, then I do leave my art behind. I'm going to undo that. And so what I need to do is click on this one. If my intention is to scale the artwork with the artboard, then if I make this artboard smaller, it all stays with me. Now, that's not usually the way we want to work, because if we made it this size, it probably is very specific to why we made it this size. But I just wanted to be clear that if we do want to say, well, I want another version of this, but with a format that's slightly different, I can duplicate all that information. I can just create a new artboard, put all the information onto it, and then just resize everything at once, including the art that's on it, just by changing the size of my artboard. Okay. Anyway, I think that's enough for artboards. It was just to give you an idea of what's possible and what's doable. And I'm going to, this one we don't need to have anymore.
Question.
Yeah.
On mine, it only says move artwork with artboard. It doesn't show the scale.
Same with me.
Same. I was just going to ask that.
Same with me.
Thank you, thank you. That's what I really appreciate, people showing that. Now, are you all on VDI versus at home?
No, I'm on cloud.
You're all,
Same here, I'm at home.
so most of you who said that are at home. So suddenly I'm curious to do that with my 2023. I'm gonna really quickly say okay and create that on my own to see if that has to do with the version. You're right. It's missing. It says move with artboard, but it does not have scale work artwork with artboard. There are some things called artboard options. Is it there?
No. And it doesn't work, and by the way, it doesn't work as you try to do it, it doesn't scale.
All right, well, then they just took it out. There you go. Yay, differences between 2022 and 2023. I'd have to research to say if there is such a thing as scale artwork with artboard anymore, but I don't know. That said, I was actually disclaiming it, telling you it, not sure how, I was just saying that I'm not sure how useful it is, right? Because in the end, usually you create art to a specific specification or reason. So maybe they figured it wasn't a very useful, thing, or if I wouldn't even begin to, I'm going to just turn it off and forget about it and not show it anymore. If it's not there in the new version. So be it. All right. Thanks for pointing that out. That's a perfect example of speaking up when something's different that you can't find, because it could be that it's hidden in a new place. If it is, I don't know where it is. So I'm just gonna, well, there is a thing you can do, which is rearrange art proportionally in InDesign. That's really cool. So I'm wondering if they've added that feature to Illustrator. And in InDesign, there's a feature where you can format a book, say as a paperback, as a coffee table book, and then you're gonna reformat it to be a square book. And instead of having to do your 100 pages again, you can actually, it's a tool that allows you to reformat everything into your new format, and then you do internal adjustments. So I'm wondering, which is similar to this, I'm wondering if they're incorporating that tool into Illustrator. So I'll look into that, because that would be cool if they're doing that, because that's only in InDesign. All right, back to our, and so anyway, we don't need this one anymore. So if you, let's just, I'm going to close it because I'm done showing you whatever this one is. You guys cannot, but let's not save the changes of what you did. So that if we come back to this one, it remains the way it was originally. So let's say no to any changes in this document. I hear you, Leticia. I see that what's happening. Let's maybe during after class or something we can, find a way to email me and I can help you catch up. I wanted to say again that normally I say, you guys know, I normally stay after class. For people who are in others of my classes, I stay forever after class helping out. But on Fridays, I have a new class starting right after this one starts, like 15 minutes after. Now, I did ask them if we could start a little bit later, so I have a bit more time, but it doesn't give me time to hang out because I need to go and have some lunch and then on to teach another four hours. So any questions that you have, on a very personal nature, maybe we can handle them sometimes during break and sometimes just off class time, right? Email me and we'll set up a time to.
Well, I'm on the computer I did log into VMI view. I just don't have the Zoom going on the same computer because for some reason it wasn't working. So
Okay.
I'm at the
All right.
page where it's a new file. So I'm not, from there I need direction. So when you have a chance.
Okay, so you are following on your other computer, which is fine to do that, by the way, to have one where she's watching on her iPad, but she's working on another computer. The only limitation to that, whenever we get to a spot where you need a hand, it's hard for me to have you can't share your screen, right? So later, maybe we can work on seeing what's happening to that Zoom and why it keeps dropping, but that's fine. Follow as long for right now, all we created is a new file, right? So
Okay.
For this, we just created a new file with 3 artboards. So look, we went file new, hit print, and then created 3 artboards, and I think we had changed the inches to 5 by 5. That's it. If you do that, you'll be caught up, and then say, okay, create. All right.
Okay. I keep getting letter A4, print large, legal.
Yeah, don't go there. Just hit the word print up there.
Uh-huh.
And then over here, change this from points to inches. I think it shows up at points first. Change it to inches,
Oh, okay.
and then make it 5 by 5. And then here, make 3 artboards. That's it. And then you'll be basically where we are.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the rest of us added some artboards that we don't actually need right now. So I wanted to show you that there's a tool that Illustrator did not used to have. Those of you who are used to Photoshop, Photoshop has always had a history artboard, but it hasn't been there so much in Illustrator as an important thing. So you could just Control or Command Z to undo that we added all these artboards, or we can go to Window and open up our history panel. And in our history panel, if I grab it from this little bottom and stretch it out a little bit, it has a memory of all the last things that we've done. And what we've done here last, I created 4 new artboards. So I can go over here and let me just have you guys see, I can undo one of them by backing up one time. I can undo the next one by backing up another time. I can undo the next. So as I go upwards in my history, it's like I return to the past, to the only thing I had done. Now these scales is when I scaled, I created 3 shapes and then I scaled them, meaning I gave them a different shape. Because remember, I turned them from squares into something else. And then this is the actual creation of those rectangles. And I go all the way to the beginning. I'm back to new with nothing. So what matters about history is that right now I can go all the way to the beginning of my history or to the end of my history. I can go back all I want, right? I can go move. But the moment I choose something old, so say I go all the way back to when I created my 3 rectangles, let's do that. So I'm not gonna, care about the scaling nor about new artboards. Watch what happens the moment I do something else. This isn't going to be there forever. It's like right now I've gone back in history. I choose a time when all I had was 3 rectangles. Now I'm going to make something else. I'm going to choose the rectangle tool and make another rectangle and look not at what I'm drawing, but look at my history. And the moment I let go, boom, all that history disappears. I cannot ever go back to that moment when I had all those reshaped rectangles and my 6 or whatever, how many artboards I made. Okay. It's like history redraws itself literally. And now I start a new path to my history where I'm making whole bunches of rectangles. Okay. So be careful assuming that history is eternally, that you can just, oh, there it was in my history. You can't. Every time you choose to go backwards, you lose anything done in front of it. Now, if you like using the history a lot, you can, instead of having it as a floating panel, let's grab it over here and let's just, from the word history, okay, I'm going to grab it here, or let's actually grab it from the top, from this area. The history would allow me to pop the panel, the tab into another tab. But if I grab it from the top of the panel right there, then I can drop it right in there in that little column. And that'll give me a history panel that I can click on to open and close when I need it, in case I need to go back into my history. Okay, so let's leave our history there. Let's go all the way back to new, because I want to start just as if we had just started without any of these rectangles. Hit on new, close your history. And now I'm going to hit Control-0 to maximize the first page of my 3. And that's where we're going to start today's work. Any questions? Let me clear yourself up. If you've been able to follow all that, go back on your history, set up the history in your column. If all of that is good and happening, then give me a little yes. If you have any questions or if anything was different on yours, please let me know. Wow, where did that come from? All right, Can y'all please give me yeses, so I don't have to be asking individually. I don't have to be saying, Monica, Ali, Sarah, just if you're fine, give me a yes. If you're not fine, give me a no, and that way it's easier to follow. All right, cool. Now, today, I said that we were going to be kind of matching this artwork, remember? So it's called Card Trailing Donut, and it is a PNG. It is an actual file that was made in Photoshop. Who knows where it was originally created? I'm assuming it was originally created in Illustrator. Actually, it was created in Illustrator. But right now, it's not an Illustrator file. It's a PNG. A PNG is a pixelated raster file. So in Illustrator, when we import it and place it, it's not going to be editable. You cannot edit raster files, pixel files in Illustrator, but we can use them as templates, as samples of what we want to create. So we're going to go ahead and say File, Place. And for those of you who are in my other classes, I always say how File Place is one of the things that in every computer we can place things, in every application, Illustrator, InDesign, and all of those, we can always place something, but the shortcut is different for the place command in all three of them. So I just go to File Place because I can never remember in which one is the right one for each one. For Illustrator, Shift Control Place. Whenever you see Control on a PC, on a Mac would be Command. So Shift Command P or Place. And then we're going to go and find the Card Trailing Donut. There's Card Trailing 2 donuts. We don't want that one. We want Card Trailing Donut. Card Trailing Donut, which is a PNG file. Okay, so if y'all found it, let me know. Now, Leticia, you're on VDI. Let me remind you how to find the files. So for people who are on VDI, File, Place, or File Open, or File whatever is always going to lead you to finding our files. So go over here to Google Drive. Leticia, let me know if this is working, to say place and click on Google Drive, then double click on Shared Drives, and then head down to, you will probably only see Illustrator Shared Drive. Double click on that one. And then inside of that, you see Download Illustrator Class Files. You on VDI, you're not going to download them. Just double click to open them. And here we are. Now you found them. Every time you access them, they'll be here. So now that's where Card Trailing Donuts is. Okay. So we're going to say place. And so here I have at the tip of my hands, so to say, a file that I can now create. Now, it's rectangular. My artboards are square, so I'm not gonna be able to fill it, but I can kind of guess that if I start somewhere around here and click and drag, I will be able to place it to about the width of one of these boxes. So I'm going to click, and not just single click, but click and drag. And then I'm going to take it all the way to this other end, and then I'm going to let go. Now, in case I got that wrong and it didn't really enter correctly or something, and let's say that I didn't go end to end, or I just want to place it in a different place, you can say Command or Control Z. This moment disappears. And I've taught you guys who were in my digital sign techniques class, there's 2 or 3 of you who are in that class, that when you do that, you can reset and reset and reset your shape. Well, guess what? In Illustrator, you can't. If you don't like what you dropped, you have to go and place it again. But now that you found the file, placing again isn't necessarily that complicated. You just need to do that thing, place again. Let me show you the difference if I had just simply single clicked. If I simply single click, that file came in humongous. Okay, I wasn't able to control what size it dropped in at. I'm not going to go into all the explanations of why. That's something that if you really need to understand why this happened, take my digital design techniques class. Right now, we're just going to say this, I would have to resize, which I can go Control minus, get really big. I can grab it and resize it and all that, right? So it's not that horrible and that important, but the easiest thing is to always click and drag to drop the piece the size that you want it. Okay, so I'm going to say place again. And so again, I'm going to put the tip of my mouse because all of this is huge. And what matters is the tip of your mouse on one end right here of the page. Click and drag. And when my that blue line that's following me sits at the other end of the page, that's when I'm going to say let go. And that's when I get this this item to fill my screen. Okay. Now, this is a linked file. Again, the conversation about that I cover exhaustively in my digital design techniques class. All you guys need to know here is that this file is not embedded in my document, meaning if I want this Illustrator file right now to always remember this file, I have to actually have two files all the time connected. That's important when you're creating a document where this is going to be part of your illustration. If this is going to be maybe a brochure for your store and this is the illustration for that store. But that's not our case. In this case, all we want here is to use this as a template, as a reminder of what we want to create. Okay, so in this case, I don't need this to be linked. I'm not going to modifying it, a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to go over here and I'm actually, see, this is telling me it's a linked file. I'm going to go ahead and hit way down here, the word embed. Embed a copy of the original image. Boom. So I'm going to say embed. So now this file is actually embedded in my document. If I were to, the quick explanation is that if I were to open this file in Photoshop and change the donut to white glazing, it's a separate file. It won't matter. The one that I have here in this Illustrator file will stay pink. They're not connected. This is opposite to what we did in yesterday's class for those of you who are following both of my classes. Now I have embedded it. So this is part of this document. And the only thing I want you to know that is Illustrator and that I cannot modify this file in Illustrator at all. It's a pixel-based document. It shows up, but that's all I can do. I can't work with it unless I create it into an illustration using some tracing tools and stuff, but we're going to do that with photographs. All right, so now we have this document that has, let's go ahead and file save because now it's got something in it. Let's say file save. By the way, yeah, give me a yes if you're able to place your donut in the right place, filling the screen correctly so that I know that you're all moving forward. I see, Leticia, you were able to connect with both of your computers right now, so that's good. Let's hope it stays.
Yeah, I just can't get to where I can make the artboards. It just keeps coming up. When I hit print, I get
Print. Oh, on the
yeah,
new
I get
file
blank
new
document
when
presets,
you
and
get
then
print. Okay, so here
then
you did your choices. Then go ahead and see create down here.
oh, okay, that's not coming up on the view, I guess. How do I scale down the?
Oh, sometimes the screen shows up humongous. That's probably what's happening to you. Like this is outside, like you can't,
Yes.
like it's looking kind of like that and you don't see the create.
Yeah, I can't see the bottom, I guess.
Any chance that you can see this top so you can move it from there? Probably not. When that happens, it fills your entire screen. It's got to do with the resolution of your computer. If you're on VDI right now, I can try to help you with that, but I'd have to have you. It's about your web browser's resolution. You can go in here into the web browser. Try. I'm not sure it's going to work, but try. Hold down your. Are you on a Mac or on a PC computer?
PC.
So you don't have the command key. Try holding your Option or Alt key and hit the minus. It might change when your window is already open. It's hard to do that. Oh, I have an idea. You already changed the settings here. Go ahead and the create. You can just activate it by hitting your return or enter key. Hit your enter key.
Okay, hold on.
That should be equivalent to saying yes, create.
Okay, so
if I were to now hit enter,
okay, let me change that.
It could, depending. It's such a complicated box, it might not work, but it tends to be equivalent to hitting the word create.
Okay, let me try this.
But I'm not sure if it'll work. And if not, then it's about the resolution of your screen where this is out of your reach.
Okay,
Yeah, that worked.
that worked. Thank you.
That worked. Okay, cool. So then just go and say file place right now. And then go and look for the Google Drive shared document. If you got into the Illustrator shared drive, Illustrator, I just want to, once you catch up, you'll be fine. And then download class files and then bring in the Carl Trailing Donut PNG and say place.
Okay. Okay.
And say place, and then just drop it to whatever size you're going to drop it, and then say embed. Okay.
Where's the place? Sorry.
File place. File place.
Oh, okay.
Click on Google Drive. Share drives.
Well, I have the donut.
You have it in your
I have
hand.
the picture. I just don't know what to do.
Okay, so just click and drag to try to make it fill your entire screen.
Okay.
And then that's it. And then over when you have it, click on down here, it'll say embed, and then those X's will disappear from it. All right. Okay, so now wow, where did this cough come from? I hope I'm not getting sick. All right, so we're going to use this as a template, so to say, for us to create our own parts and pieces. So let's push it all the way up to the top. And we're going to start trying to recreate some of these shapes using this bottom part here and this page over there. And then we're going to try to assemble something identical to this, but that we've made. I think I need a lozenge or something. Over here on this third page. So we're going to use these two as building boards, and then we're going to create an equivalent thing over here. Okay. So we already know how to make rectangles. Let's see what we can do about creating a rectangle that then we will turn into this shape. So this will take to do this, I will be teaching you quite a few different tools to modify things. So let's start with picking up a rectangle. 4 tools down. Now, when you make a rectangle right now, the default setting is this filled in with white and whatever. So when you make it, it doesn't matter really what appearance it has. As long as it stays selected, I can go over here now and change its appearance. So I'm going to click here on fill, and I can try to recreate that color, and it's probably one of these blues or something like that. But what if I wanted that exact color? Like if it's not one of the ones that's in here, what if I want to use that exact color? Another option would have been for me to go over here to the eyedropper tool. Okay. And oh no, because this is it won't, you know what? It probably won't work. Yeah, I picked it up. I was thinking since it's a PNG, I thought it would pick it up from a JPEG from a PNG. Okay, so I can click with the eyedropper tool and pick up any of these colors that are part of this other piece of art. And that's how we're going to be able to imitate these colors. Now, once you choose a color that you want, and in this case, we're going to go for the bottom part of this object. So what we want is that blue. This color, since we have this shape, is easy to create. But if this shape wasn't here, like if this shape wasn't here, and I want to create another rectangle with that shape or another rectangle with that shape, I wouldn't have this color patch to imitate. So the best thing for me to do right now is to actually, since I've got this color, and it was simple, I just sampled it, there it is. What's best for me at this point would be to set this up as a new color swatch. So over here in the fill, I have all the color swatches that exist already, and that's where I got this blue or that pink, but they're not exactly the same. Some of them are. This was probably made with some of the basic colors, so it might be similar. But just in case, I'm going to create swatches with these colors, or what I welcome you to do is to, if you want, create your own colors, but I'm not teaching you yet how to create your own colors. So for now, I just want you to create the same colors, right? So what we're going to do is make a new swatch. That's just my own here. So let's do that. Let's select the eyedropper. Click over here to get a certain blue. Then go over here to the fill, and we're going to create a new swatch down here. And you'll see that it's going to appear. These are all the basic swatches. And after this one, you're going to have a new swatch right there when you say plus. We're going to call it maybe card trailer, I guess. I'm going to call it trailer blue or something like that. Now, right now, if we want to modify it to make it a little bit different, we could move these sliders around and turn it into something else. Okay. I actually didn't want to do that. I don't think I can undo those movements because they're not been saved. No, that's not undoable. So now I'm left with whatever I'm left. So I'm going to have to say cancel and do that again. I was trying to show you that, modifying a color. Go back to fill, do the plus sign, and then I can call it again trailer blue. And for now, the default setting, for me at least, is global. And I'm not sure if it's because I've done this before or if it's the default for you guys. Does this global, is it checked or is it not checked? By default for you guys right now.
It's checked for me.
It's checked.
It is checked. Okay. Because a global color and a not global color are two very different creatures. So if it is checked, go ahead and let's leave it checked. And since that's the default setting, and I'll teach you later. Once you set it there, the panel, when it's global, the swatch that appears here is going to have like a little white triangle. And it's not because you created it. It's just because of the global. If this was turned off, the panel, the little swatch you create here would just be plain blue. So it's because it's global that it'll have a little triangle. Let's say, okay. And there it is. It pops in. It's that blue with the white triangle. And if I hover over it, see how it says the color trailer blue now? If I hover over this one, it's a set of CMYK settings. We're going to talk a bit more about that. If I set over these top ones, the only ones that have color names are these first four, which are pure red, pure yellow, pure green, and pure cyan, blue, and magenta. The moment you start with the rest of the colors, they're all mixes of CMYK until the one that we just named, which we named trailer blue. This is the default place where the new ones are being created. I see your hand is up, Ed.
So when I created the rectangle and stuff, I got a pop-up on my screen that says, screen recording, Adobe Illustrator 2023 would like to record this computer screen and audio. And they're having me go to system settings to do that. I've never seen that before. I assume I could deny it, right?
No, that was, remember last time when you were trying to share your screen and I said, yeah, say yes. It's because I want to make sure that if you share your screen, when you share your screen, students who are watching the recording can see your share. Otherwise, they're going to see a little blank and I'll spend 10 minutes helping you and no one will see what I'm helping you with.
So I should go ahead and accept it.
So accept it.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
There's a lot. So the Mac, Apple, Adobe, there's a lot of privacy issues. The more you upgrade, computers are trying to make sure that things don't happen automatically to you, but that you are aware and you get to say, yes, I allow a recording of my screen. Right. So when, oh, okay, I see that you're the other day I was watching, I had to be demoing something and I watched a little piece of my recording and I noticed that when someone shared, everyone was seeing a blank. And I'm like, oh, what's the point of watching a recording if what I am teaching people can't see because it's someone else's share? So that's the place where by denying, now you can go ahead and go into the system preferences and like undeny it, like check it. I can show you how to do that next at some point, Christina, not now.
I know how to do it.
Yeah, but no, Christina mentioned that she accidentally denied it. I mean, when you first see that, it sounds like, whoa, oh my God, I'm being recorded. I mean, our automatic response to all these is always, no, don't record me, don't invade me, don't, and it makes sense. Unfortunately, in this case, what happens, there's a reason to why I would request that you say yes. In the future, you can say no to other things, but it's for when you share your screen, so that becomes part of the recording. That's what that is. All right. Thanks for asking about that one. All right. So now we have our shape. Let's go ahead, and before we continue trying to make shapes, why don't we pick up and create swatches of all of the colors that we're going to be needing. So let's continue. And now let's create this pink color. Go over here to the fill, say plus, and let's call this donut pink or pink icing or whatever, donut pink. Let's leave them global. We'll work with the fact that they're all global, and I'll teach you about that later. And we'll say, okay. Now there's going to be shading over here. So it's a donut pink shading. It's going to be a little bit darker. I'm going to click in here. So basically we're creating the palette for all of these. Donut pink shading, etc., etc. Now there is a tool, by the way, that allows me to create swatches automatically out of all of the art that's in front of me. But then you wouldn't get to learn how to make colors, right? So so that's what we're going. It's not that there's many colors in here. Let's go for go ahead and do it at your pace. Don't forget that there's let me go in a bit closer here. There's border here that's like a more turquoise blue, so go and pick that one up too. And this one is trailer
So that edge
border. What's up?
isn't a stroke.
Yeah. Border or stroke. Stroke is the name that means border in Illustrator. Black is black, white is white, so we don't need to do that, but I do want to make, chocolate anyway, so I'll let you guys chocolate, and then chocolate shade. And then we're going to not pick up every one of the little sprinkles. You can make the sprinkles your whatever color you want. And in fact, at the end, I would love is if you actually create your own version and your own colors, right? But for now, let's just pick up these colors. And then the last one would be the purple. And we're not going to actually sample these dots. And let me explain why. We actually could sample this darker purple, but if you approach this art, one thing you might notice is that Control plus. Let me move over. Is that there's a transparency happening, see, right here. So this is on top of these circles, and these circles are this. So instead of creating circles that are light purple, we can create circles that are the same color and then change their opacity. Same with this stuff. So what we do need maybe is the darker purple, maybe the middle purple, maybe the bottom purple, one of the purples, but these are versions of the same color. I'm just going to sample the darker purple for the shadow, and then later we'll talk about how to create that transparency. So purple shadow, And then notice as you approach details like the white of the car actually has white and then half of it is gray. Has to do with shading. It's a very basic kind of shading. But anyway, gray is gray. We can pick that up later. So I'm going to hit Command 0 to fill my screen again. And that has, I have created a set of colors that are specific to this to this drawing that I'm going to make. I can leave it like that. I can leave them just sitting there and not do anything with them, or I can save them as a group and call them donut trailer illustration, right? So once you're done collecting them all, you can select one of these, the beginning or the end, hold down Shift key and select the other end. And so all of the colors that we just created are in like little ducks in a row. So again, you can start selecting the first one, hold Shift and select the last one. Now, if you're still creating them, you can wait a little bit longer. But other than that, select them all and then go down here to where you see a little folder. It's a new color group. Click on that and call them donut trailer or something, whatever. Donut trailer colors. And say create from selected swatches. We'll say, okay. Now, I had mentioned that you could create a bunch at a time. So in this case, we can't create them from here because it is not Illustrator artwork. Okay. But if we wanted to create a bunch of swatches at a time from Illustrator artwork, let's go ahead and go back to File, but this time say Open Recent Files. And remember that we had just opened the navigating artboards. Go to Open Recent Files. We don't have to go find it again. That's the one that I told you guys to close. Now, if you didn't close it, then you still have it here. That's fine. But I had told you to close it. So let's go ahead and say, open that one. And so here we already have some colors that exist. If I want to see these colors, it's not showing up here in the properties panel. Any idea why? Properties panel isn't showing them for me.
You haven't selected anything.
Nothing selected, exactly. So make sure you're still in the selection tool, the black selection tool. Select something, it doesn't matter what, and then your colors appear, right? So in this case, we want to select everything. So how we select everything could be by doing a shortcut, which is Command or Control A, and everything gets selected. That's one way. Or you can put your mouse over here and grab and just drag like this and just grab everything that's under you. So either one of those two ways, you say Control A, or that way you select everything. Then let's head over here to the colors, which have a big question mark. And that's because there's so many colors, it can't give you one answer. So when you see a question mark, it's because there's more than one color that's been selected. Click on that. And then down here, we're going to say, create a new color group from selected artwork. And then we're going to say, okay. So all of this work that we did on the other one, because it came from a PNG that we couldn't pick up colors from, just got picked up because this is already artwork created in Illustrator. And so I created a group with every one of the colors that's going to be involved in this document. Does that make sense, you guys? So again, the difference between this one and this one is that this is a PNG, and thus it doesn't. By the way, I thought I had saved the file. Oh, I went to help Leticia and I never saved my file. Did I have us save this file already? I didn't have us save this file.
Yes,
Okay,
you did.
I don't know if I did anyway. Let's say files saved. And no, I didn't see this window. I might have segued to help someone and I didn't finish saving mine. But if you haven't saved the one that we're working on already, let's go ahead and when you say save, unless you don't want to see this anymore, because you're at home and you always know where you want to save, you could click don't show again and this one won't show up. Otherwise, it'll always ask you where to save and it'll default to wanting to save to your Creative Cloud, which is the Adobe Creative Cloud up in the internet, which you then need to have an internet connection to see versus saving it on your computer. So I'm going to say save on my computer. And for those of us who are on VDI, if you're going to save your files, you cannot save in the same place. You cannot save in the Illustrator shared drive. The Illustrator drive is only savable by me because I created it. You guys can only view it. So if you want to save your files, you're going to have to go up to my drive instead. And that is your drive. And in your drive, you're going to have to create a folder here. Create a new folder. And call this one Illustrator. I'm going to call it Fall 2022 because I have other, right? Illustrator, like my files, my work, my class, or something like that. And then say open. Double click, sorry, and then save it over here. So we're going to call this one car trailer, whatever, donut car trailer. I'm not being very creative here. It's always the same name. Donut car trailer, but you might want to call it my donut car trailer, like your name or something like that, the one that you're making. Right. So again, you have to save into my drive if you're on VDI. For those of you who are at home, you can save it inside the same folder with the class files or in any other folder that you want. We'll say save. All right, I see some hands up. Is that Ed, is that your same hand from before?
Oh, it's a different one.
Okay, what's the question?
Isn't there a way to take a PNG, a vector, excuse me, a pixel image and change it into a vector image?
Yes, but that comes later in the class. I'm not going to teach you that today.
Okay, all right.
Right now, we're recreating it. We're creating the art. But yes, we could take an image and we're going to do that with photos where we make an illustration out of an image that exists. But yeah, there is. Leticia?
Sorry, I don't know what I pressed, and now I was trying to scale down the donut into the tile, and
Okay, that's fine. But the
wasn't
good
able
news,
to do that. But then I must have pressed something else, and now all these, like the horizon side tab is coming up, and I can't move any of this stuff.
the good news is that now you are connected on the computer that you're working with. So this is a good time now to share your screen. Let me stop it's my break alarm, but hold on, we're not going to go to break it. So have you shared your screen before?
I think so, but I was trying to make.
I'll walk you through
I was
it.
trying to
That's
make
fine.
the rectangle, and so now every time I press on anything, the rectangle little thing comes up and says,
hit the escape key.
okay.
The escape key usually is like no or negative or something like that.
Okay.
Did that work?
Share, yes.
Okay. Now can you find your share screen button?
Yes.
I'm gonna make sure that I can catch you up until where we are, and that way. So when you hit the share screen button, then a window pops up which at the very bottom right, there's another share button that's like a little blue button with white letters and it's small. That's the second button you need to press, and then
when I pressed share, it came up, it said save to Creative Cloud. So
save to Creative Cloud would be part of your Illustrator. So no, go ahead and say escape to that. That's the save. Now I would just want you to share your screen with me. So it's a Zoom tool. So go to your Zoom on the computer that you're doing the work. And then do you find the big green share screen button?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Then on the bottom right of what you're seeing next, you should see a small blue button with white letters that says share. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I was clicking the one on Illustrator.
yeah, no, that's why I was like, I can recognize the questions, right? Okay, so first of all, here, you can get rid of this thing on the left that says horizon and all of that. See how in the middle of that gray column, there's like a little tab that pulls out. Click on that tab so that it just disappears. That's just a VDI thing. So yeah, the big old horizon, no, say cancel to that. Say cancel. Nothing will happen until you say cancel. Now on the left side of, don't keep clicking on that. Outside of Illustrator, on the left side of your screen, you have all the side tab. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So go to the middle of that and you'll see that protruding into almost near the car, there's like a little tab to that, like a gray tab. Move to the right. There where you are, move your mouse to the right. Move your mouse to the right and keep going. And there, that a little bit more to the right, that little tab thingy.
Oh, okay.
Click on that. Good.
There.
That disappears. That's your VDI tab that was in the way. Now that
Okay.
it's out of the way, you'll be able to see stuff better. Okay. Now the reason you keep making boxes is because the box tool is what you have available. So your tool, every time you click, is trying to make new boxes. Click again and you'll see. You just go ahead and click, which is what you were doing before. Click and see, it tries to make a box through numbers. So go ahead and say cancel. You don't want that one. Now click and drag to make a box that you want. Now instead of just clicking. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
just
I
click
get
and
it.
drag. There we go. Click and drag. Now once you let go, yeah, let go of your mouse. Now you're still holding on to the tool that makes rectangles. So everything else you try to do is only going to make you make rectangles, which is what happened up there. You have another box and stuff like that because you're still in the make rectangle tool. So you need to switch tools. So go back to the move tool, which is select tool, which is the top black arrow on the left side of all your tools, because you're in the make rectangle tool. Click on that one. And now you're safe. And now you can go back and delete some of these other rectangles that you made. Like, and click on that and delete.
So just press backspace.
Hit
or-
the backspace. Yeah. Now you have a ton over here that you can't even see
Right.
because they have all white colors, but go back to where you saw one, put your mouse over the last one that I know you created, go down and hover. There it is. Click on it. You have like 2 or 3 there. Click on it to select it. And now change the color. Go to that eyedropper
Okay.
that I showed. No, you need to have it selected. Yeah. No, it's not selected. You need to go.
Oh.
No, the shape has to be selected. Click. There we go. Now go to your eyedropper. Cool. And now go and touch the trailer, for example. Good. Now it'll fill up and now you'll be able to see that color. So now go over on the far right to the panel that says appearance. And you might have the zoom things in the way.
Do I unclick the eyedropper? Or?
No. Just go over to
Okay.
where you have a little blue box there. And do you see the blue box under appearance? Yeah, there we go. Sometimes people have the zoom tools in the way. So click on the blue box. Yeah, and then go to the little plus sign on the bottom of that box. But yeah, that little plus sign. Cool. And now call this one blue trailer or something like that. Just type because it's already highlighted. When something is already highlighted, you don't need to highlight again. Just go ahead and write trailer blue or something like that. And then say okay. And we're gonna have a break soon. So during break, I'll let you create all the rest of them, but do one more. So I'm sure that you know what we're doing. Go with your eyedropper now and go and hover over the orange, for example, or the pink or the purple, whatever. Click one time. Yep. Now go to that right to that little box again, and then say plus, call it orange. Okay. And then that's what you need to do to all those colors. And you'll create, I don't remember how many, 9 or 10 colors. I'll let you catch up with this part during break. Okay.
Okay.
Just
Thank
say
you.
okay to that. But what I want you to do is save this file. And since you're on VDI, this one I do need to hand hold you through because it's your first time saving to VDI. So go to File, Save. And File, Save. Okay. And now, see, this is what's happening to you. Go to that white line on this box and move it up so that you can see all the, yeah, click.
Well, it just kind of makes it bigger though.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, don't do that. Put it in the white, not the double-headed arrow that made it bigger, but in the white and drag up. Yeah,
Okay.
that's different. Mhm. Good. So now you can see save on your computer. And then on the left side, click on Google Drive. My Drive. Double click. And then go up to new folder. Up at the top. Yeah, and then call this one my files, my Illustrator, my whatever. Cool. And then go into the file name Untitled 2 and call it my car trailer, the file name up, call your file something first, down, no, down, no, down. Yeah, there.
Right here.
Yep. And say my car, my whatever. Okay. And then say save. And cool. There you go. So when you guys open, now go say okay to that. Oh, see, this is the problem. You have all your things. Okay, this one's okay. You can scroll down. It has
Oh, okay.
it has one of those, yeah, scroll bars. There you go. And say
Just
okay.
okay.
All your okays are showing up and available.
Yeah, everything's out of alignment.
I'm gonna good. Now go and keep choosing colors with you've got the eyedropper still in your hand. So go and keep choosing colors and making your colors. Okay.
Okay.
Keep doing that. I'm stopping your share. All right, guys. I'm gonna lower your hand. Let's go ahead and we're gonna start. So that's a basics of creating colors. For those of you who feel like doing something a bit more during the break now or something, let me just show you how to create your own colors versus picking up colors. You want to create your own palette, and then we're going to start creating all these shapes. So, but we're going to do a break and then we'll create the shape. So here's how we're going to do to create your own colors. If you have a color already, or we have one color, whichever color you have it there.
Diana,
If you want to,
Illustrator.
oh, thank you for keeping me on this tier. Yeah, you gotta remind me to share my screen. There we go. So when you already have a color, whichever color you ended up with, to modify it to not be that color, I showed you already, you can create a swatch and then use those little sliders, but that's not really a good way to modify colors. It's much better to head over down here on the left side of your tools. You see this little box? That's your fill color, the current fill color. Click on that box, okay? Double click on that box, sorry. And you pull up the color picker. This is a much better way to choose a new color. You kind of color picker. And how the color picker works is on this tall bar, you choose the color you want, kind of the hue that you want. So you move it up or down by dragging, or you click and click and click until, say that you're trying to create, you're going to have a green background for your own version, right? So you go over here, you choose some kind of green-ish, but then the color that you are choosing is appearing over there. Your old color is here, your new one is here. And what this is showing is whatever's under this little circle. So if you want this green to be lighter, you go up, or if you want it to be darker, you go down. If you want it to be more saturated, you go to the right, and you want it to be less saturated, you go left. So basically you move this around until you find the exact color that you want for your background. And when you see it there, you go, aha, that's the color I want. Then you'll say, okay. And now you create a swatch of your own that doesn't exist. So now you do the same thing as before. You go over here, you'll say plus, and you'll create your own swatch. And just maybe you call it background or green, but if you don't know yet where it'll go, you can call it, just call it green or something like that. And let's make these colors not global. The ones that you create on your own, make a bunch of not global colors just so that later I can show you the difference. Okay. And then say okay to that. You can call it green / car. So we know it's the green for this illustration, right? It doesn't need to be to the car, but in this case, the donut illustration or something like that, green car. Say okay. And see how this time it does not show up with that line that we had before. It's just a like regular swatch. That's because it's not global. So go ahead and make, now you want to create a new color, go ahead and if you want to make different swatches so that you see your colors all together, see how you like how they look instead of changing them all the time, you can make another box and create another color. But if not, go in there, double click again and pick another color. Maybe now you're going to have a dark green and a light green, and you say okay, and then you go over here and you now make this one be dark green slash carve because it's for the power illustration and so on and so forth. So go ahead. As long as you create 1 or 2 colors, that's enough for my teaching purposes. But if you're going to go further and make your own version of colors for this illustration, go ahead and create more of them and then make your own little group of them. You can do that while you're waiting, while I'm helping people and working on different things. Okay. I'm going to stop my share and we're going to take our first break. Surprised how fast time has gone by. And by the way, I've noticed that some new illustrations have been put in the Padlet. So before we go on our break, thank you, Saul, for showing this landscape over here. Before we go on our break, I want to have you first do a screenshot of what we have. And well, we didn't really make this one yet. So there's not so much to screenshot. It's okay. Don't screenshot this yet. It's all right. Don't screenshot this. Let's just go ahead and take our break. So what time is it? 10:53. So somebody tell me what 15 minutes is. 10:53, 10:03,
11:08.
11:08. So be back by 11:08. This shows you why I am a designer, illustrator, photographer, and not a mathematician. Okay, guys, see you guys in 15 minutes. Have a good break. Oh, Ali, I just, I'm dropping everyone into break for 15 minutes, okay?
Okay, fine. Thank you. It just dropped me, but I'll see you in 15.
All right, guys, let's come back to the computers. Swallowing my last bite. You probably don't need to see me munching, so I'm not turning on my video for a second. My husband took pity on me and made me a nice breakfast, but I haven't had time to eat it, so I'm still munching. Okay. Hello, hello. Sorry about that. I rarely eat in the morning. And I called for break and my husband's like, wow, I made us breakfast. And I'm like, okay. And now I don't have time to eat a breakfast chat. So I'm still swallowing. Now that I'm teaching twice a week at school and I'm basically having a few minutes in between class and not eating anything, he's like, you're home today, I'll make you a good breakfast. Anyway, very sweet of him, but I'm sorry that I'm still kind of chomping through the last piece. All right. Oh, there you go. Yeah, make a, yep. Okay. We do what we can. That's one of the advantages of being home, right? That we can put on makeup while we're in class, right? Stuff like that. Okay, once again, this is the time of day where the backlight is really intense. And my front light, as I said, is not plugged in. And instead of plugging it in, I went to eat breakfast. So you can't see me much, but it's all about what you see in Illustrator, not really about me. So it doesn't matter too much. I love, Linda, the little donut you put in the chat. Maybe for next class, instead of a cinnamon roll, you'll have a little donut painting. All right, guys, maybe you created your own colors, maybe you didn't, depending on how much you move forward with this during break, or if you actually took a break. But now you know how to create your own colors and how to pick up colors from an existing piece of artwork. Now, what we're going to do now is actually begin to create some compound shapes, because obviously there's no rectangular trailer here. There's a rectangular trailer that has some different shapes. So in part, some of these we're going to create by adding and subtracting to some of these actual existing shapes. And then another way of creating this is by actually drawing them out with different types of tools that we have. I'm going to show you both ways. So the first thing we're going to try to recreate, and I'm going to show you two different ways to do it, is this bottom trailer. Okay, so let's go ahead and we can actually even forcibly lock this one in place so that when we put stuff on top, we won't be messing up and doing weird stuff to what's underneath. So let's do that. Select this top layer. And then let's head over to our Illustrator layers. Right there. Now, I know that last week we created some objects and shapes in Illustrator. I don't think well, yeah, we didn't lock any layers. We just worked with layers and we just moved things up and down in the stacking order last week, but we didn't actually lock any of the layers. So how do we do that? When we head over to the layers tab and we open, we see that we only have one layer, even though we can see that there's at least two objects in it. And when we want to see those objects that are in it, we have to click on this little arrow that allows me to display the objects. And I have two objects. Now, maybe Leticia, this is where you can see that you have more rectangles that you created that were white because you had them kind of loose in that bottom area. Also,
I think I got them
Oh.
all.
good, yeah. Otherwise, another way to do this would be to grab the one that's color, put it out there, and then click and drag like this over this area where you were creating all your rectangles. And when you let go, you will see if there's any more little white ones lying around that'll get selected, and you can hit delete to all of them and stay with one. Because when you were, and the white fill is the most ridiculous fill as a starting fill, because people make things that they don't know they're making, right? Because, and in the first Illustrator class, if you watch the recording, I talked a bit about fill, no fill, white, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's a good way to find them. So here we have the 2 layers that we own. I want to lock the one at the bottom, which is my image. Click right there. And when you click in that little spot next to the eyeball, you add a lock to that. So this is to see or not see that guy, the eyeball. And this is to lock it. So now, no matter what I do, nothing happens. It's kind of like completely doesn't do anything. There's something else you can do when you bring in a layer. You can create a layer that's just called a template layer to trace on top of it. But right now, all we want is to make sure that it just sits there doing nothing but being our sample. So now we can actually, if we want to be very precise and exact, we can take this rectangle over and shape it to the right size and shape of one of these. Now, we can make this shape in many different ways. One thing we can do is we can create a series of rectangles. And right now I'm leaving it this green color just so that I can see that it's different than the other one. And then I can create another rectangle over here. Like I can create a series of rectangles that kind of imitate the shapes. I have the rectangle tool in my hand, so I can keep making, right? I'm going to keep making rectangulars for the parts that work. And then there's another rectangle that can be down here. So now I've made 4 rectangles that if I approach might or might not be actually appropriately aligned. So I'm going to zoom in and check on them. And I might have perchance gotten them appropriately aligned, or I might have not. Like they might have ended up a little bit off center, stuff like that. If they're off, you can just eyeball align them like that, or you can actually choose the align tools and align them to the bottom. So I can select this one, shift, select this one, and then shift, select this one. Or I can just click and drag like that. Not this bottom one, but these 3. I can go to my properties panel and then bottom align them like that, vertical align bottom. And then I know for sure that I've got them aligned at the bottom. Now, we might want to overlap them a little bit too to make sure that there's no, oh my God. Guys, give me a second. I'm gonna go get a lozenge because this is really becoming a problem. 1 second. So now you're gonna have to hear me slurping away, but maybe I'll stop coughing. I hope. Ed, that's a new background for you. I never saw a beer background on your stuff before.
TGIF.
All right, that's true. All right, so that's how we create rectangles. Great. Now you can, since you've approached, you can adjust them to be a little bit more correct in size or not to what you need. But how do we make those triangles, right? So I think I showed you how to make a triangle last week. Does anyone remember?
I don't think you actually did show us how to do one last week.
I know I did, but it was quick. So
Okay,
let's go ahead and control minus. If you choose, for example, the polygon tool, maybe it might work with a rectangle. No, not the rectangle, the polygon tool, or this. I think the rectangle tool does it too, but for sure the polygon tool does it. So go to the polygon tool. So how do you go here? For those of you who didn't do last class, click and hold down a little bit, and then you have a variety of tools. Select your polygon tool. when you make a polygon, you're going to click and drag and a polygon comes out, right? And you let go, you have a version of polygon. But one thing that we did last week is we saw that if we click and drag and don't let go of your mouse, so you're still creating it, you can add or take away sides. And that's what we did to the stars. You can take away sides to this polygon by going to our keyboard. So remember, my mouse is still making it. I haven't let go. I go to the arrow keys and I can add going up, up arrow, more sides, or down, down arrow, less sides. And when I go all the way down, I end up with a triangle. That's one way of making a triangle. Now, if I do that and my triangle is down here, I don't really know how to move it there and place it there, stuff like that. So say I end up with a triangle like that. Once I let go of my mouse, there it is. It's been created. I could try to create exactly the shape I want and move it over, but I can also just pick this one up now with my move tool and take it over there and adapt its shape. That said, I want to teach you one last tool for those of you who are feeling comfy and a bit more advanced about this, which is when I'm creating a shape. Of course, the next shape I create will come out exactly the same as the first one. I don't let go of it. And if I want to go place it somewhere before I let go, I can hold down my space bar and that disconnects it and allows me to move over here and then keep like trying to place it in the right position, right? So basically I'll put one tip against where it has to be and then I'll keep moving around and then I'll make it smaller, right? Because I'm supposed to have it smaller and then I'll move it over here. So you can actually just now, this is just for those of you who want some more advanced work. For the rest, I'm going to get rid of it. For the rest of you guys, just whatever triangle you make, go select it with your selection tool now. Change tool, leave the polygon tool, get your selection tool, and then move it over here. Because now what we can do is we can start distorting it, right? With these with the bounding box handles. So what we need to do now is we need to go and put it here. And I'm going to make it a different color so you can see it better. Hold on. Whatever there. So let me zoom in. You can grab the bounding box corners and from the outer edges of it, when you put your mouse in the outer edges of a shape like that, right, like 1/8 of an inch out, you can click and rotate it. Okay, so you put it over here and you put one tip where it belongs and then rotate the rest to match this line. Right, and so you rotate it to match this line as much as possible. It doesn't need to be identical. And then you grab this and you pull it down, and then you grab this and you pull it out, right? So you just kind of modify it to be about yay, right? It needs to be, doesn't matter if these, as long as it overlaps, it doesn't matter if these are exactly straight. All you want is that straight line. Because all these 4 shapes, we're going to join them in a minute so they become one piece. So it doesn't matter if this is a straight line. In fact, I prefer if shapes overlap a little bit so that there's no holes left in between them, right? And then you can either go through the whole rigmarole of making a new one, or you can just duplicate this one. And there's so many tools to duplicate things, but in Illustrator, in Design, Photoshop, whatever of these, when you hold down the Alt or Option key, see how my arrow turns into 2 arrows? I can now hold down the Option key. My arrows, 2 arrows. I click and I drag out, and I've dragged out a copy, which I can then rotate a little bit, try to match this guy here, rotate a little bit more until it kind of matches. And I'll make it smaller. And again, as long as it covers the area, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. I just want to make sure that the tips here are matching. So how do I see if the tips here are matching? I zoom in. And now I zoom in, but now I'm going to have it be the right color, right? So I touch over here and make sure that the tips are matching over there by having like a close-up zoom. So remember, the sooner, the nearer you get, the better. Now, when I get near, I thought they were matching before. And as I get zoom in, I go, oh, they weren't matching after all. So you really need to zoom in quite close. What I can also do is at this point, I can turn the eyeball off the bottom layer. So I'm just looking at the shape and going, ooh, they're not touching. Okay. I can grab it and now I am pretty clear that they're touching. See that? So you might need to zoom in a lot, okay, to make sure that these things align. So now go to your other, we zoom out and in a lot in Illustrator, go out to your other corner and there you go. That which looked aligned before isn't really aligned now. So I'm going to zoom in again, Control plus, and I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to make it align tip to tip because I don't want a weird little, when I'm joining these shapes, I don't want to have the shape have this little weirdness. These are all going to become one shape. So I need to make a real zoom in. So if you look down here, I've zoomed into like 2400%. So I'm really zoomed in for the details of aligning. Command and Control minus 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 to zoom out. Over here, as long as it overlaps, that's good enough. So I can just make it bigger. It doesn't matter. The only place where it really matters that it align is right there. And these bottom lines that I told you guys to hit the align. So that for sure was aligning. But if you're not sure, you can also click on this little zoom tool. I love the zoom tool or the Z only for doing that. I can go in and I can just right click just on that little bit. And it helps me zoom into just that portion, okay? So since I moved it from the bottom, I noticed that I took this out of alignment, so I have to go up and again. Okay, I'm gonna go look at the minus, minus, minus. Go look again at this one. This mouse on Windows is different. I can also click, 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 and it zooms in each time. I prefer the Control plus, works better for me. Okay, Control 0. I have checked. These are supposed to be green. I just made them a different color so I could help see the alignment. So I'm going to click, shift, and click. I'm going to make them all the same color. So I know that over here in my color palettes, I had I had the it occurs to me last week we had our layers over there. I remember we had our layers handy. Had I made us go to a different workspace? Anyway, I click over here and choose whatever, I believe it was this dark green that I was painting with. Now I have all the shapes that make up my trailer. If I turn on my trailer, that's the right shape. But it's composed of many different elements. When you have your trailer ready like this, give me a yes, like you have all the parts and pieces. Leticia, your hand is up.
Yes. How do I change the shape from rectangle to that octagon shape?
So select the rectangle, the octagon. And when you first select it, it'll have a lot of sides. You can't change this existing hexagon for anything. You need to be in the middle of creating it like that. You're making it and it's still live. You're not letting go of your mouse. And that's when you go to your arrows and minus, minus, minus takes away sides until you get a triangle, or plus, plus, plus adds sides.
Okay. Well, but I on my the icons on the left. I have. You want me to share my
screen? Hold on the rectangle. You don't see the polygon right there?
Oh, okay. Let me see.
I don't think rectangle. I don't think the rectangle allows.
I got it.
Or different.
And then I just click on it once and then make one down here.
Click and drag. Okay. And when you click and drag, you get it. So you have to.
Okay. And then where do you minus?
Minus is it's the arrow tools on your keyboard, right? Sorry, I'm not in the octagon polygon tool.
Oh, okay.
Minus up or down, up adds, down arrow tool deletes, and that's where you get your triangle. And I haven't yet let go. Once I put it about in the position I want, I let go, and there it's been created. You can't now add sides. Once it's created, you're kind of stuck with what you have. but you can modify it by using the bounding box to change its shape and size and proportions. Okay, now I'm going to grab all this other stuff that I created here, and to grab it quickly, instead of cribbing one, delete, I'm just going to select somewhere here, neutral, click and drag, and as long as this net that I'm casting covers at least one little bit of each one, that's enough for all three to get selected. Hit delete or backspace once and it's gone. Hit delete or backspace once and that's gone. And I'm left with just that one piece. Okay, so give me a yes if you're done. I'm seeing 2 or 3 yeses. Is that working for you, Leticia? Did you get a triangle?
Yes, I figured out I have to click on the,
Mhm.
I'm not using a mouse, I'm using the scroll pad. So
Oh,
yeah, I'll get a mouse for next time though.
you know, I forgot to say, yes, for Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, I highly recommend a mouse. Or while you're catching up, let me show this to everyone else. What I do actually recommend the most, let me stop my share so you can see me, even though I'm in the dark, you can see a little bit more of me. What I have is a tool. Hold on, this is touched. Oh, I think I messed up. Can you guys still see me? I disconnected something. I pulled from the wrong place and my. Oh. Can you see me now? Yeah, I disconnected my webcam for a second. So this is what I actually recommend, which is a pen. And in this case, it's a stylus. Can you see it in the background of my? It's a stylus that acts as a mouse, and it comes with a pad, and I can just draw. And if you're really going to get into design and art, this becomes my mouse, and the tip of this, I move it around, and it's the mouse. If you want to know more about it, I can spend a little bit of time with that. But this tablet that I happen to have, and there's so Christina I was about to write the name Wacom, and there we go. Christina wrote it in the chat. It's a Wacom tablet, and it's and stylus, so to say. It's a Wacom tablet. And the one I've used all my life is the cheapest one they have. I'm not an illustrator, as in I don't do intricate paintings and stuff. If so, you might need some bigger ones. But just for graphic design and logo and all stuff like that, the smallest one, the simplest one is less than $100. You can go up to spending thousands, right? You can have entire screens that you just draw straight on. My son is an illustrator. He's a filmmaker and illustrator, and he draws on his computer directly, and it's amazing. But I don't need that. So you can get one of these for less than $100. And the whole point is, it gives you much more control. Have you ever tried to like write your name with a mouse? And it's impossible, right? So yeah. So if you're interested in knowing that, I can point you to some sites and stuff. There's other brands. Wacom is kind of like the industry standard, but my son has one that's not Wacom. I need to ask him what it is. He told me once and I forgot. He won it as a prize for a contest he
Diana,
signed into, and it's great. Yeah.
Diana, I think he has a Huion. I don't know how you say it. Huion. Because when he won that, I went and bought one as well.
I gave you the name. What is it? Who won?
Huion. Huion, I think.
Something like that. Huion, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Huion, yeah. There you go. Because I mentioned it. Was it you were in the class when I mentioned it? Yeah, he has a Huion, which is cheaper than the Wacom. And I mean, as I said, the Wacom tablet that I have is about maybe $79 or $70, something like that. But you can get bigger ones or smaller ones. So that's another brand. That's the one he won in a contest, and he's been using it ever since, and it works really well for him too. So there we go. And now Ali, you said you bought it after I mentioned that name, and it's working for you?
Well, actually, it's funny that you should mention that, because one of the things I was going to ask you is if it's possible to suggest to City College that we get a class on how to use those kinds of tablets.
Well,
because I did try it and it was so foreign to me that I'm waiting for, I need to go on YouTube or something, but
it takes a
it
little
was
bit,
a difficult transition, yeah.
takes a little bit of time to learn, like riding a bike, you know.
Yeah,
Once you know it, it works. But yeah, when I teach the Illustrator and Photoshop classes at school, which I might start again in spring right now. I'm trying out. I'm doing high fix classes where I teach in person and it's Zoom at the same time. Anyway, I have 3 tablets over there that people can test to use and try out. But it would be very hard to put a class set up just for that, A, because the school would have to buy the tablets, enough for students to try out, and B, I'd have very few people who'd sign up, right? So it's an investment. So I highly doubt that's going to work, but I did get them to invest in some Wacom's a while ago. And so there's 3 there. Whenever I teach an in-person class, take out one of those and you can try that out and I can help you with that. Or you can bring your tablet and use it, you know, and then I can give you hands-on support. But anyway, Leticia, your hand is up. Is it the same hand as before or is it a new question?
Oh, sorry, it's the same hand, but I'm just
Mhm.
trying to manipulate the triangles.
Okay, no, that's great. All right, so
Diana?
let me, yes,
I might mention that if you have an iPad Pro, you can, which is a,
oh,
you know,
that's true.
you can use
an
them as
Apple,
graphic tablets.
Apple Pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you,
I have an Apple Pencil, but I don't have an iPad Pro.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
iPad Pros are pretty much more expensive than a tablet, but if you happen to have one, which some people have, you buy an
Yeah.
Apple Pencil and you draw on it and it can, you can also use it to manipulate your mouse on Illustrator or any of these on your screen. So it can serve that function, but it's such a much bigger investment. If you
Yeah.
happen to, I wouldn't invest on it to be used as a pad, but consider if you're considering an iPad, well, that one would save you from having to have one, right? So anyway, although the Apple Pencil alone is about $100 and this Wacom tablet was less than $100, right? So I don't know. I love Apple. I teach all the Apple stuff, but I'm not sure that I would recommend investing in it just because of that feature, but it's great that it has that feature. All right. So here we have a bunch of separate little elements, and I'm going to do Control or Command Z to move this back. How do we make this to be one piece? Let's go ahead and select them all. And again, you can either surround the whole thing out, make sure that you're in your move, the black selection tool. You can just do like this to make sure you capture all of them. But remember, let me zoom in. All that matters is you get a little bit of each element, right? And so as long as you start here and do this, so I'm only grabbing a little bit of that one, this triangle, touching this one, touching that triangle, touching this one, and touching this one, that's enough to let go. And it also selects all the elements because really all you need is a bit of each. But just to be sure, you do like that. Every element is selected. At this point, let me just remind you something really quick. If I make one shape, right, whatever that one shape is, I have one bounding box around it. And I can then use that bounding box to modify width and height and position, so to say. I can rotate it. That's what I can do with a bounding box. If I have more than one element, I still get only one bounding box. All those in between lines are the lines that are the end shapes, so to say, the paths that create my shape. But if I were to now manipulate this bounding box up and down, I would now manipulate the whole thing as if it were one piece. I'm going to undo that because I don't want to do that. But just know that that one bounding box now is joining them all. And I have 2 things I can do. Last week, I told you how to group a shape. At the very end, I showed you how to group a shape. If I were to group this shape, meaning I would keep this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements individually, that would work if in the future I would want to have this piece one color, that piece another color, modify that shape, modify that shape. Then I would want to keep them as individual shapes. But I don't see the point. In this case, the shape is just going to be this shape. It doesn't need to be 6 shapes. It's much easier. Instead of grouping a bunch of different shapes, it's easier to just unite these as one shape, the shape of that trailer. But then I'm going to lose those individual pieces. So how do we do that? Head over to the properties table again. And then down here in the Pathfinder, well, you have to have all selected. Over to the Pathfinder. And the first choice, if you hover over it, is click to unite. So let's do that. Let's click. And now this has united, and I have created one shape out of a bunch of these rectangles and triangles, primitive shapes. If I let go, that's not a bunch of shapes anymore. And I'm ready to move on with this shape being my primary shape. There's an actual easier way than what I just showed you as to how to make that shape, by the way, drawing it out. But I'm trying to teach you how to manipulate basic shapes. When I teach with the other tool, I'll show you what that easier tool would have been. But there we go, with a bunch of basic shapes. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because the whole point is that you're going to put this over here, right? And so who will know if it traced that shape exactly or not? It's going to be near enough. But the more you learn to manipulate your shapes, the more you try to be perfect or precise, the more chance that you'll have later to create more complex shapes. So it's up to you to keep trying until you get it exactly perfect or not. Right now, I'm going to leave it over here. Well, over here where I'm creating my initial shapes. And the same way we did this, let's see what happens with circles, because circles behave a little bit differently. Here, let's get this one out of the way, actually. In fact, let's move it over here. And I'm going to paint it the color it's supposed to be now that it doesn't need to be on top of it, which is, I'm going to head over to the properties again. Now, I hate that this mode that we chose, which is class, it hides my properties and my layers. I like to have my layers handy. So I'm going to grab my layers and put them here because I want to see my layers and my properties at the same time instead of either or. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my layers and drag them and put them right there. So now I can have my properties on all the time. And then when I want my layers, I do this and I see properties and layers next to each other because I find like I need both of them all the time. So now I'm going to head over to properties and select my colors. And I believe that first blue was my trailer blue. So there you go. Now, this thing had had an element here that was surrounding the whole shape, and that's the stroke. Colloquially would say border, but in Illustrator this would be a stroke. Okay, so we're going to add a stroke to this shape that we just made, but I'm going to actually go ahead and go to my history for a second, and I'm going to undo the fact that I joined these. So look at my history. It's getting long and I moved it. I did stuff, but I don't know if you guys did a bunch of stuff with me or you were just watching, but I've done a ton of stuff in between. And then somewhere over here, I have the place where I united them. And what I want to do is let me see if I go far enough to find, I've done everything. I can go all the way to nothing here, layer panel options. I'm not seeing when I united them. I moved it, I did it, so I'm having to, here, rotate, scale, move, clear. These were still individual at this point. Where were they not in? So I'm going back in my history. I forgot that I'd shown some more things. So in my history, when I united them is far back. And what I'm going to try to say, what I wanted to show you guys is that there's only
maybe you didn't group them.
No, I created the unite action. I'm trying to see where that unite action is. But I don't want to select anything because I'm going to go back on my history. I might here over here. I apply swatch the parallel, and I'm trying to find in this again in Photoshop. This tells you exactly what you did. Here it doesn't. I'm not finding anything here that is saying that I applied the join. So anyway, it doesn't matter too much to me when, but I wanted to show you that there's a limit to this. I think there's only 50 things that you can how do you call it, go back, and then after that you start losing them. So you can't go back forever. That's really what I was trying to show. And then I discovered that I had like a ton in mine. Probably add, see here they were still separate. Okay. Let me show you for a second because I still wanted them separate. I could have had each one of these shape have a stroke. Not have a stroke as in get ill, but I can select them all and put a stroke on this shape. This for me, because you guys still have already united yours. But if I give, there's no stroke right now. If I go over here and give it a stroke, and I think the second color was the deeper, the trailer stroke right there, and my trailer was that color. Then when I leave them separate like this, that's another reason to not keep them as individual shapes, because each shape gets their stroke, even if I select them together. But when I join them, then all those little strokes disappear and it turns into one stroke around the whole element. Okay, I just was trying to show you that if had I chosen to say, no, I'm just going to join them, then I couldn't have done the stroke thing that I did later, because the stroke would apply to each element. So now I do have a stroke, and the stroke right now that I'm using is just 1 point. I could make it bigger or smaller. I'm going to go with just one point stroke and go back to Control 0 in my tab. I'm going to see this. And so now that's the element that's going to be there. So I'm going to move this over in preparation for it to be already available for the new art. And then I'm going to go here, and now we're going to try to recreate the car. It's going to be slightly more complex than it is to create the this shape, because we're more, it's simpler to work with these kind of guys, but it's still really a whole bunch of basic shapes, except for 1 or 2 rectangles down here. So let's see how we are going to do this. Click over here and choose your ellipse tool. By the way, has everyone created their trailer? I'm going to clear your feedback. Give me a yes if you've got your trailer with a stroke and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, and if you do and you're fine, that's good. If you need help, let me know. You have that little trailer-ish over there. I see your hand is up, Ed.
Yeah, when I try and join the things together, I get a error message. Selected objects cannot be joined as they're invalid objects. Compound pass, closed pass, text objects, graphs, live paint group. You can use.
Yeah, so can you share your screen? Because maybe you created, when it said compound paths, it has to be simple shapes that get created. And I'm wondering if there's something you did that was that created the compound path, or do you need to join with the other one? With your other computer to share your screen? I can't hear you. Okay, go ahead and join with your other computer, the Zoom, and then share with me. But yeah, so did anyone else have problem getting these to join? If you join, who else had problem with that?
Leticia, I'm kind of behind, so I'm not really understanding how to align the bottom and then how to connect them.
Okay, so we went through alignment last class, and that's why I kind of went quickly over align this time. But when you have 2 elements, so I'm gonna, sorry, when you have two shapes, right, like this, and you need to align them, you select both of them. And then over here, it says align, and you choose, and I want to align it to the bottom, because see, there's this little line. I want both of these to go bottom. So I click like that, and then they aligned to the bottom. So in this case, all those shapes, not that one, but those 3 shapes, you would select and align so that they would get aligned to the bottom.
Your screen's not showing up. It's not sharing.
Oh, no. Interrupt me sooner, you guys, next time.
Well, like, wait, where you go?
Okay, let me share my screen. I had stopped sharing because Ed was going to share, but I was just showing you the align while he was signing up. So when you have 2 elements that are not aligned, you select both of them, either with click, shift, click, or by kind of doing like that and selecting both at the same time. And then in the properties panel, in the above the Pathfinder that we use to unite, before you unite, you move up here, and this is the align panel, and I chose the align, vertical align bottom, and you can see the line, and what you want is the bottoms to align. So you click that one time and they both align at the bottom. It so happened that these were similar in shape, right? But even if they've been different in shape, if I'm aligning the bottom, then the bottoms get aligned. So what I did here is I had these 3 rectangles and I aligned them in the bottom so that they would overlap perfectly. Okay.
Okay.
I know that I'm going a little bit faster than your speed because I'm doing a lot of stuff that I did last class. In
Okay,
between
no
today and
worries.
next Friday, watch the entire recording of last Friday's class and then practice all of that so that when you join us next week, you'll be up to speed on those basics so that you can move forward. Do you know what I mean? And it's fine to ask stuff and to ask me to stop and repeat and stuff like that. I'll do it because this is the first time I knew that you were going to join late. I'm supporting, but in the future, I want everyone to, when they miss a class or a part of the class, watch the recording so that when I build upon skills, I don't have to remind you the stuff that you guys missed. Okay. So, but I'm fine today, Leticia. I'm not trying to chastise you. I knew you were going to be late. That's fine. But moving forward, and this is for everyone now, make sure that you practice the skills so that I can, as I said, build upon them. Yeah. Ed, your hand is up. So are you ready to share?
I am.
All right, go ahead and share.
Okay. Got that.
Because yes, when you try to unite things, depending on the shape. Okay, so let me look at your shapes. Can you zoom in a little bit? Or a lot of bit? Okay, so I'm trying to see what could be complicated. Click away. Like click on the wait, no, not click away, zoom in again. I
Okay.
meant click in as in that I can see better. Okay. So I'm trying to see if any of these shapes, because it said compound paths and stuff. So go ahead and grab just 2, the first rectangle and the first triangle. Just select those 2 and try to unite them just to see if it lets you, to see if there's a problem with the tool. So go and click on unite on the Pathfinder. No. You're saying join. No. Join is not unite. It's a different command, and that's why it's not working. I said
Okay.
unite. Okay, so now you'll be fine. Select them all and go and unite, and you'll see what I mean. Go on the right side in the proper, no, on the
Right there, okay.
properties panel. Go
Sorry.
down to the Pathfinder. So go down on the properties panel.
Hold on a second. I have to get rid of all
The
of the
zoom is in the way.
thumbnails so I
Yeah.
can see it. Okay.
Okay, right there, under a line, you'll see a word that says Pathfinder. Go down one more. Yeah,
Okay.
there it is. The first one on the left, that's the unite tool. Click unite. That'll work. Now,
Okay.
since your shapes had a stroke, okay, so your shapes weren't completely overlapping, and that's why you've got this kind of weird thing happening with
Yeah,
your
I can
stroke.
see I need to correct my
Yeah,
triangle.
so go ahead and undo your unite. Go ahead and say undo your unite. Guys, go ahead and inspect. When you put the stroke, go ahead and inspect to see if the stuff works. Take the stroke off for a second, go back to stroke and say no stroke. Which is, yeah, the first choice in your Pathfinder. And now see how your triangles were a little bit off right there, the triangle with the rectangle.
Yeah.
And the strokes really give it away if they were off, right? So
Right.
go, you can approach that, like zoom in to just that area. There you go. Like zoom in really to the tips, like zoom in on 1200, 1500%. Yeah. And then move your way there. And then that little discrepancy there, that when it got stroked, it's just a little touch, a little tip. See that? But when it got stroked, now go ahead and add, when you add the stroke, that becomes like a channel, like a groove. Does that make sense, you guys? And so that little hole, it seems tiny, but when it's stroked, it created a shape with that. So now select it and move it to the right a little bit. You can nudge things to the right with your arrow tools if you want. Like select that triangle and nudge it to the, select it again. It got deselected somehow. Select, click, okay. What are,
When I'm hitting the arrow, it unselects it. It moves the whole screen.
your right arrow?
Yep.
Select it again.
Okay.
And your
Right
right
arrow.
arrow doesn't nudge it.
Nope. Takes
So
that.
you must have your preferences different. Then move it with your mouse. Select it and move it with your mouse. Just click on it. Select it
Something's
first.
wrong. Hold on a second. For some reason it's got,
Yeah, it's like you're.
it's like it's moving
Yeah,
I'll
so
see it.
go ahead and do a simple select, not a select with anything else. There, you weren't having the bounding box before. Now
Yeah.
nudge it. I don't know what you were doing, but you weren't doing a simple. So when
Okay.
you nudge it, okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, if you hold down the shift key and then
It-
nudge, it'll give smaller increments. I think it's the shift
Oh,
key.
shift key, sorry.
I think it's a shift key. No, it's even bigger, 10. Okay, so back up and then move it with your mouse. Yeah. There we go. Just cover that hole. Perfect.
And I need
Right.
to do the same down here because it's,
Yeah, but you know what? For that, you can just make your triangle bigger. Click on it and then go to the middle and just make it bigger because it doesn't matter as long as it overlaps. There you go. See, the bottom doesn't matter.
okay,
Just the top needs to overlap. And now go and fix your other side and then unite. Don't join. It's a different tool. It's a different tool. Join and unite are not equivalent to each other.
Okay.
And then you'll be fine. Okay. I'm going to stop your share because I know you can catch up. Perfect. So yeah, in the past, there was a tool called Join. I mean, it's not in the past, it's a tool that's still there, but it which is the one he was trying to use, which operated differently. And so anyway, I'm going to go inspect my little corners because I didn't inspect them really up close, and I'm not sure if I ended up with a little weirdness. And it looks like I had a tiny weirdness enough that when I added my stroke, I got a little thing there. So strokes are unfortunately, they give away things that aren't perfect. And when I go really, really close, yeah, look at that. When I get
to share, Diana.
Oh, shoot. Thank you. After someone else stops sharing is when I forget to reshare. So thank you. So what I was doing is showing that I just, from afar, mine looked great. But when I put a stroke on it, strokes are great because they really tell you what's truly happening. And my stroke has had a weird little tick. So I took it off again, right, to get rid of it. And then when I approached, I discovered, ooh, yeah, I did have a weird little thing going on here. So that it's harder to fix it now. I'll teach you how to fix it. I haven't taught you the tricks on how to manipulate individually right now. That's when I said you can create these in a different way. So if you have a little weirdness there and you do put a stroke, you're going to see in the end a little weirdness in your stroke. But if it's a tad, it's not a big deal for now. For this, when I show you how to create this in a different way, you'll learn how to do that without that little extra glitch. But that's a good, here I was showing you how to get it precisely, and yet I got my own little glitch there. I'm going to delete these two, and I'm going to move over here and start showing you how to work with the circles. So make sure in your choice here to select your elliptical shapes. And then I'm going to turn the stroke off to start with because it's always harder. And since the last thing that I was selecting had a stroke, it's going to want to give me a stroke in the new one. So I'm going to just go turn that stroke off. And I'm going to start working on circles. Now, this is going to take 2 steps. First of all, if you just click and drag, you make a ellipse, an oval of some kind. Go ahead and do that. Make an ellipse or an oval of some kind. Great. Now, that looks relatively simple, but when you try to make it in a particular place or shape, it's not that simple because look, when you start an oval from here, when I say from here, I clicked on some spot and start dragging, it moves, that thing moves. So watch, I'm going to leave a little target right there. Now I'm going to start to make a new circle right on top of that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make a circle right now using that as my target. I click in here and I start. See, my circle moved. It didn't stay anywhere near that place where I started it. So it's harder to put circles together and to match shapes. So what you need to do is learn to control this oval that you're creating using that space bar that I mentioned when I was showing you that shape. So watch. If I want to create an oval that's exactly that shape, right, or that goes right over that place, I'm going to click and drag, and it's not going to be anywhere near. So now I have to keep holding it, meaning I haven't let go, and then I hold my space bar, and then I can move it to wherever I want it. So now I can move it there and then keep shaping it, and then move it there, and then keep shaping it. Now, the way I'm teaching you to make this car, you might not have, it might not be an actual circle, okay? Because if you look at that, that's not a circle over there. So, but the first car that we're gonna make with actual circles. So see how I managed to make this match? Once again, let me do this again. Let me get rid of these. And now when I create my shape, I don't let go. It's still in creation mode. I hold down my space bar and I can move it, right? When I let go of my space bar, it's stuck there, right? So I hold down my space bar and I move it until one edge matches, trying to match the hood right now, the top of the car. One edge matches. When I have one edge matching, I let go of my space bar, and then I can still move these until the shape looks similar. And then I hold the space bar and I move it up, and then I move it over, and I keep let going of the space bar to keep modifying the shape, but the space bar helps me move it. Does that make sense? And then I let go of the space bar to make it the shape until I finally find a near enough shape to that top. And that becomes, I'm gonna put this down here, that becomes that top shape of my car.
Diana,
Yep.
could you make the fill color on the circle transparent or half opaque so you could actually see the car in the background?
Yes, but you can, and then that go down here and move its opacity down a little bit. But at this point, I'm not sure it will be more complicated because we're just trying to match the outlines. So if it doesn't confuse you to see the other stuff, then that's fine. But if not, since all we're trying to do is match the outlines, then the full color would work. But yes, go here to the right under where we have fill and stroke, go to the opacity, and you can make it as transparent as you want. Maybe bringing down just a tad of transparency might work, you know, so there you go. So now, once you've created it and let go, like right now that mine has been created and let go, I can still modify it a little bit, pulling it to the right if I think I'm not exactly right or something like that. That said, I was going to say this car hasn't been created with perfect circles. So we're going to have a slightly modified shape to this car to make it with these ovals. But right now what I'm going to try to do is teach you how to then get rid of the bottom of the circle, right? To be the bottom of the car. So that's the kind of thing I'm going to be showing you right now. So here we have a circle. That would be the hood. Now let's try to make a circle that would be the back of the car, and what that would be the, no, that's not the hood. This is the whatever, the top, and this is the hood. Okay, so let's do our best. As I said, it won't be a perfect set of circles, right? But let's do our best now to make one that will work here. And I have one more trick for you. If you create a circle from the start, it drags over to the center and you want it to stay where you make it, you can actually hold down the Option or Alt key for PC users, and then it creates itself straight from the middle. So you have a little bit more control. So if, for example, we were trying to make the wheels, now I'm holding down the Shift key so that it's a circle and nothing else. So I've got both Option and Alt and circle, right? Then I get a circle that starts from the middle and constrains itself to being a circle. If I let go of the Shift key, it can become an oval of some kind, right? So this whole time I am holding down my Option or Alt key to make it be creating itself from the middle. I hold down the Shift, it forces it into circle. I hold down my space bar, so now I've got 3 keys, like kind of like piano player, and I drag it over here, and then I can maybe make it smaller until I can get myself a wheel, for example, right? So anyway, that's just an example of how you can be like piano key playing all of your shortcuts, but you don't need to go so crazy. That's just, again, for people who want to get a little bit better. But there you go. I've got the size of my wheel. I could, I'm going to teach you a different way to make the wheels, but that's one way. Now let's get a circle over here. So I'm going to start by starting with something, and then I'm going to hold down my space bar and try to make this shape, which we won't really be able to because, as I said, it's not a perfect little circle, but get as near as you can to something that could be that trunk of the car, which I think would be something kind of like that, right? And then let's bring it down here and say that that's going to be that. Like if we put these two together up here, that's kind of this shape. And I'm going to click over here. And that'll be kind of that part of the shape. Okay. And again, if you want to bring down some of the opacity to see through, you'll see that it's not going to match. But for this mode of creating it, that's good enough. Later, I'm going to make another circle over here to make like the hood, like that. Again, I'm going to keep bringing it down just because I like your idea of it to teach. It's even easier to see that there. Okay. And now my last one that I'm going to create over here, I'm going to actually hold the Option key for this one so that it comes out a little bit more accurate to my spot. And that gives me the front. So now I kind of have the outlines of this shape. We're going to add the wheels separately. Later, we're going to tack them on, but for now we have the outlines of that shape. Okay. How's it going? Ed, your hand is up. Is that a different
That was
hand?
from before.
That was from before. Okay. Good. I look up and I see it. All right. How's that going? I'm going to clean. Oh, the keeps getting dropped out and dropping in. Let me pull her in again. Okay. Give me a yes when you have, 4 circles that kind of look like, again, we're just broadly trying to imitate the shape of this car. And so you have kind of imitated the shape of this car. Give me a yes. All right, I'm seeing a couple of yeses. Leticia, I know that you're probably a bit behind here. That's okay. Try to do what you can do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
since
I
I don't
know
have the mouse,
it's harder. Without a mouse, it's
Yeah, I have to
so
click
hard.
pad
have
to
to-
move it, but
Yeah,
then
yeah. I'm
I
trying.
can't
I
move
have
it with the
a
space bar.
click and drag. It's just really hard. Yeah, I have a mouse. I have a pad here. I'm using right now a tablet, an imitation of a pad, and you have to click and drag and move it. But then the other, yeah, it's very hard. Yeah, your fingers are busy with this. You know the other reason a tablet, it's hard to make Illustrator with a tablet, that you need your fingers to press all these shortcuts, right? That I'm telling you. But how can you press all these shortcuts if you're using all your fingers on your touchpad to make the shapes? You know what I mean? So yeah, go ahead and you can get a mouse really cheaply. You don't need to have a fancy pen or Wacom tablet or anything, and then you'll be able to work better. All right, Mary, I don't see a yes on you. Do you need a hand? Are you okay? Or you're just not yesing, but you're done.
I'm a little behind, but I'm going to follow up tonight and do the homework. I'm going to rewatch the video. Yeah.
Okay, but is there something you don't understand that I can help you with? Like it's not working for you?
No,
you're
it's
a little bit behind. If so,
technology. It's yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing VDI, so it's fine.
Got it. Okay. So then let's move forward. I just want to say that over here, I'm going to have to add a little triangle, right? To make that bottom space right there. So I'm going to go over here and click and select triangle. And I'm going to add a little bit right there, just to cover that. Depending on how you made your circles, you might need that or not. In fact, I'm going to make this one go down a little bit so that I don't have that. Okay. So with these 4 basic shapes created, The first thing I'm going to do is join them like we did before. Not join them. I'm sorry, that word is important because join is what Ed did. And I said not join, but unite. So let's select these 4 or 5, however many you have here. And let's go back here to unite. So now we have a cool little cloud-ish shaped. How do we turn that into what we want? I'm going to bring it down a little bit again in opacity so you guys can see what's underneath, but not too much because it can get confusing. But so that you can see that what we need now is we need to kind of cut this down here in a straight line. Does that make sense? This whole shape has to have a piece taken off of it. So, oh my, is it already 12:10? It's amazing how quickly time passes by. That's fine. We're fine. We're going to get to finish this car. Zoom out for a little bit, and I want to teach you something here before we tackle that shape that we just created. So go to the learning space, so to say. I'm going to get rid of this thing. And let's create one rectangle. Then let's create one ellipse, overlap them somehow. I'm going to change the color of the ellipse just so that you guys can see that it's 2 different shapes. Then maybe create another ellipse over here, right? Then maybe another rectangle over here. So I have some bizarre little shapes. This could be anything. I'm just wanting some rectangles and some ovals overlapping to show you a tool that we're going to use. And then we're going to go apply it to the car. Okay, maybe I'll move this one over here. So even if you're still working on the car, stop working on the car. Learn this tool. So make a couple of rectangles, a couple of circles, make them overlap somehow, and then I'll proceed. So again, drop the car wherever it is, move away. Let's go over here and learn some stuff. So here we have a bunch of shapes. What I have taught you until now is that if I select them all, head over here and unite them, you end up getting one shape. Notice, by the way, that the unite, when I had 2 colors, turns it into one, okay? So whatever's on top is the overbearing color, so to say, and it creates it into one shape. Good. But what if I don't want the shape to be like this? What if this is not the goal of my shape? I want my shape to be different. This is when you have one shape selected, the pathfinder doesn't show up here at all. You have to have at least 2 shapes selected for the pathfinder to show up. And that's because to unite something, there needs to be at least 2, right? So I select these 2, I hit unite, and these 2 get connected. Okay, I'm going to undo that. There's a tool that instead of just working on everything, allows me to unite parts and pieces with more detail. So I'm going to select this whole jumble of shapes. And instead of going to the pathfinder, I'm going to move way over here. And I'm going to choose the, oh, come now. Oh, I hate this small toolbar is so limited. It's not here. I'm not liking the small toolbar. I usually work in the Essentials Classic. In the Essentials Classic, there's so many more tools here. And here's the tool I'm looking for. But it's not, oh, it was there. It wasn't the shape builder tool. Hold on. Oh, no. It was there. Okay, this is the shape builder tool. Since it was, usually it's underneath. Okay, so click and hold on this tool. It's called the shape builder tool. Okay. Now, watch me for a second. Just watch. I have a tool in my hand that if I hover, I'm not clicking, hover over this shape, I'm going to get a bit bigger. But you see how it's kind of make it into a little grid pattern under my mouse. If I hover over this one, it creates a little grid pattern. Like, you know what I mean by a grid pattern? It creates like a little mesh kind of thing. Okay. When I have this tool in my hand, every single part or piece of this element that interacts with other objects could become a separate little bit and piece. So watch. If I want right now to grab this tool and drag it from here, click and drag across and across and across and across all the way to here. Only the three pieces that I've crossed, okay, the two ovals and the bottom piece of this rectangle, not the top. When I let go, that will now be one shape. I have united a piece of that. Okay, I'm going to undo that, Control Z, Control Z. So it's the stuff that my mouse touched. So if I only select these three pieces and I let go, and I have to click away because at first they're joined. Now I have created this little shape. Does that make sense? So I'm going to keep undoing. Play around with that a little bit and start joining this to that, this to that, this to that. By the time you join everything, if you join everything, in the end, you're in the same place as if I had clicked that big ol' unite, right? Because I've joined everything. I'm going to undo that because I don't really want to join everything. And so I'm going to undo a few times until all these pieces come back out of it. But you can play around with it to just join a few little bits and pieces at a time. So let's do that. I'm going to join those three pieces, those four pieces. That fifth piece. Now, when I first finish them, I have to change my tool, right? To selection tool, click away, and then I can click and take out the piece that I've joined. I'm noticing that when I have more shapes, the concept is a little bit harder to understand. So I'm going to actually change my mind, select all of this and delete it, and just make two shapes, two squares, or an oval and a square. An oval and a square. Just to start with two only. It'll be a bit easier to understand. Now select both. They both have to be selected or you can't unite them. Then go to the shape builder tool. And now this is a bit easier to see because it's only three parts. So I can either have this piece be one thing, this piece be one thing, or this be one thing. And what I mean by that is, yes, this oval that was one thing, I can just click and drag. That's it. I click and drag around this thing. Not much seems to have happened. If I click away and select away, I have cut it off from that thing. So now I have a line in my circle. Okay. I'm going to Command Z. I keep undoing Controller Command Z so that they all become individuals again. I can join all three, of course, and that's what I get. Control or Command Z. I can only drag across this and nothing else. I'm not joining with anything else, but what I've done is I've disconnected it from the rest. Again, if I select and select individually, I have cut it up. It's a pretty powerful tool. You guys have to play with it a little bit to see what it does, but it's like it cuts up pieces or it joins pieces. I'm going to keep going Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. And if you guys aren't sure, go to your history, right? And go back to when you first began to create all of these, like the merge tool, that's the shape builder. Go to the very beginning before you had any of these merge tools. Oh, I had over here, right? Before you merge these and use your history to go back and forth. And now let me show you something really clean. If you have a mess here of stuff, eliminate them again and make again two clean circles or a circle and a rectangle, because now I'm going to teach you something totally different. Let's make not totally different, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to give it a different color so it's clear. So here's a circle that I'm going to interact with a rectangle. Okay, and here's a rectangle. Select both. The key is always select both. People keep saying, oh, it's not working for me, because with one shape only, you can't add or take away from it, right? So you have to have at least two shapes. Now watch, with that same tool, I'm going to actually make things disappear by holding down my Option or Alt key. So if I hold down my Option or Alt key, my tool, which before had a little, see that arrow had a plus sign? When I hold down my Option or Alt key, it turns into a minus sign. See, minus, plus, minus, plus. Option or Alt turns into a minus. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say this minus, I'm going to drag over this and I get rid of that. I'm going to undo that. If I drag over this, I get rid of that and I make like a little space. I keep doing Control Z. Or in this case, I'm going to have a circle with a rectangle on top. I'm going to hold down the minus and I'm going to drag across all of this. And then I get that shape. Okay, so now you might get an idea what I'm about to do with a car, right? This is exactly what we're about to do with a car. We have a bunch of bubbles making my car, but that car has to have a flat ending. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rectangle along the edge of that car, select them both, grab my shape builder tool, hold down the Option key, and then just drag across everything I don't want. And then I'm going to end up with my car with a flat shape. I'm going to go do it right now, but I'm going to do it to a copy of this. I'm going to grab this one shape, copy it. You can either Control, copy, paste if you like that. But I'm going to remember I told you how to hold down the Option or Alt key and drag and you get a copy so that we don't affect the original one to start with. Now I'm going to make that rectangle supposed to go kind of along this line. So I'm going to make a rectangle over here. Okay, I'm going to make a big old rectangle over here. Make it different colors. You can see it's a different thing. So now this shape over here plus this shape over here, right? These two shapes are going to be selected at the same time. I'm going to get my shape builder tool, hold on my Option key, and I'm going to drag across, including that little bit right there, and this little bit right there, and this little bit right there. And I'm going to let go. And I'm going to exchange, move this one out of the way, put this one there, and there's the little body of my car. Then I'm going to make two little holes, right? So how do you make those two little holes? Any guess?
Create two circles and then do the same
Yeah.
subtraction you did.
Exactly. So now I'm going to copy this one, just that I make sure not to, I keep copying them so I can see the stages, right? So I'm holding Option key to the stages. I'm going to make two more circles and I'm going to try to imitate that little hole right there. Hold Option key and make, I'm going to escape and change the color so we can see it happening. All right, so now.
Sorry, Diana, which is the Option key?
Option makes it start from the Option or Alt. If you're a PC person, it's the Alt
Oh,
key.
Alt, okay.
Sorry,
Got it.
Option is
Thank
for,
you.
it's the same key, but it's called Option for the Mac and Alt for the PC. So now I'm going to move it up in here and try to match. I don't have a very good transparency for that. Let me start again and zoom in. Let me zoom in for a second. Oh, I'm doing the shortcut for the Mac. Let me get a bit more for this one. I do need a bit more transparency because I need to see that shape. Okay, so I'm going to go with this circle and I'm going to create an oval that hopefully kind of matches that. That's good enough. And then I'm going to copy it with the Option or Alt key and move it over here, right? Maybe a little bit further to the left. And now I'm going to select the, I keep pressing the wrong shortcut. When you see that message is because I'm doing the Mac shortcut. I apologize. I'm going to hold on to this and bring it down here. So now I'm going to use this. Zoom in. Shape builder tool. And I'm going to hold down the Option key to take bites out of that in the shape of my car. All right, so it was a bunch of circles that turned, let me move this again, which are the constituent pieces up there. It's good enough. Okay. It's not exact, it's not precise, but that was not the point. We're just trying to get something similar enough-ish, right? And now I'm gonna give it 100%, and maybe I'll make it orange. I believe that was the car orange. Yeah. So now you see my car orange and that car orange. When they're both orange, it's harder to tell. So let's leave it a different color. Let's leave it pink or something. No, pink is too similar. Let's go back to the original blue, which you can see where the outline matches and where it doesn't when it's blue. Okay. So once again, I'm going to do it with everyone now. I'm going to slowly do it. Right now, I was kind of showing it to you, so you saw the whole process. Now I'm actually going to do it with you. So we had started where we had the full on, we had all done, or most of us had done the 4 or 5 little circles put together, right? So now what we need to do on top of that is make a rectangle. Okay. By the way, for those of you who have, I forgot to say, some people had to leave. They had told me they had to leave early. There's one person who leaves early always because of work. Please make screenshots at this point of the kind of stuff that we're making. Okay, because this is what I want you to post in the Padlet. And I have a feeling that no one, oh, somebody did. Oh yeah, Ed posted already the bottom trailer here in the Padlet. Make sure that you all have some posts of all the work that you're doing today. And I need to remind people by email. This is how I see the work that you're doing. Okay, so please post your stuff here, especially if you have to leave early. Okay, back to VDI. So I'm going to make a whole display here of the steps, and then I'll put this in the computer here. That's one step, and that's another step, and that's another step. And then the final step. I'm going to put this as a sample, so I'm just doing this right now. The final step would be that one. Okay. So now those are the steps that I want us to take. So we're going to do them together. Grab this guy here, make a rectangle, and make that rectangle kind of go across the bottom. Again, I'm going to give it another color, and let me zoom in, only so that I can see to match the top of this rectangle with that little bit of straight line. And if you didn't make a straight line with some, just make it cross the bottom of, and if you can still see some of it, make it big enough. It just needs to chop off the bottom of the car, of the cloud. Then select both the cloud and that guy, go get your shape builder tool. And then if I just drag right now, I'm going to join them. It'll be one big shape. I don't want that. I want to hold down the Option or Alt key and take away what I don't need. And if it's easier, you can do it by bits. I can take that away that I don't need, and I can take that away that I don't need. And then you might be left with another little thing that you need to take out of the way. How do you take it? By dragging it across, holding down the Option or Alt. And now we should all have that shape. Before I continue, any questions about that? Are we all here at this point? And if you're not here at this point, I want you to share your screen with me and I'll walk you through each step. This part is where it gets more complicated, okay? We're on the last 15 minutes of the class. So this is a time where I want to have you guys say, I need a hand with this, share your screen, and I'll make it, I'll help you move your hands in the right place to make it happen. So if you have this shape, the one where you cut the straight thing off the cloud and you're ready to go, give me a yes. But if you're not here yet, you can't move forward to the rest of them, right? So give me a yes that you have the clouds without the bottom. And I know, Mary, you said that you're a little bit further behind than that. And I know Leticia, you might be too. So if you guys don't want to have me help you, that's fine. But if you want me to help you, I'm happy to stop and give you a hand to get here. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I must have missed the part where I can even lock the picture to the whiteboard. For
Okay.
some reason, sometimes when I click
Mhm.
a line, like everything
it
moves
moves
to the
that.
bottom.
Yeah. So go ahead and share your screen and I'll help you catch up a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
The rest of you guys, if you move forward making your own little holes and stuff, go for it. Okay, so perfect. Okay, I see you now. All right. So over on the right side of all your panels, you have the properties panel, and then you have the layers panel. You see that? Click on the layers panel. Yeah, that one. Yeah, and then click on that little arrow to the left of that thumbnail, just like a little pointer. Yeah, click on that. Yeah, and here you have all your different shapes. The very bottommost of all those things that you opened up, that's your image. Now put your mouse on the left side where you see the eyeball. There's a little box next to it. Click there. That's how you lock it. Click on that. Yeah, there you go. Otherwise, it would be impossible. Every time you select one thing, yeah, like it's impossible to work if that bottom isn't locked. So there you go. Now move back to the properties because you're going to need the properties panel. Okay. All right. So now you have many of your bubbles. Good. Now what you need to do is draw maybe another rectangle there to cover the bottom part of the orange. So go and get your rectangle tool and make yourself a little bit of a rectangle to fill in the bottom orange. Cool. And now switch to your move tool. Cool. And then drag it up and kind of, there you go. Good. Now grab all 4 of those shapes, or 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and unite them. Perfect. Go over down to the Pathfinder, one down, and hit unite. Awesome. Now you have your little cloud. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do next is select it again. I want to make sure that you don't have any strokes. No, you don't. Okay. You have this little afterlife. Okay. Now create another rectangle. And it might be easier to give it a different color. So go change the fill color.
Oops.
To something else so that we know that it's, yep. Okay. And now move that one. Perfect. And move that one on top. Yeah, and now you can expand it to the left or to the right a little bit so it covers the whole base of your shape. Cool. Now select both the cloud, let's call it, and the blue rectangle.
Then do I?
Cool. Now go to the shape builder tool, which is that there in the top. Yep, there we go. And now what you need to do is hold down your Alt key to turn that into a negative. Hold down the Alt key. There. And now drag across all the stuff that you don't want. And you can do it in parts or in pieces. It doesn't matter. Just drag across. And when you let go of your mouse, don't touch the pink. Let go.
Okay. And then let go?
Yeah, let go of your mouse.
Oops.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you did. Hold down the Option Alt key again. Yeah, they were both selected. Okay, hold on the shape builder tool. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. It's a simple, it's okay. It doesn't need to be looking like it's right on top. Go to the shape builder tool. And I noticed that you kept dragging across the shape builder tool. when you hold down the Alt key, just to hold down the Alt key first. That's important. Alt so that it's on a minus right now. Good. Now, all it takes is a single click. You don't need to drag it around. Just click on that area and you'll see how that'll disappear.
I'm holding Alt and then I just point the mouse
Just
to the shape.
Click the mouse
Oh,
on
there
that
we go.
shape. There you go.
Okay.
That's all it takes. Okay. You were dragging and maybe that made it do something weird. It's just selecting what you don't want. There you go. Perfect. Now you're at the spot that I said is everyone here. So great. So now what we need to do is make 2 ovals in that space where the tires happen to be. So go select an oval shape. Cool. And now give it a different color. It'll be impossible for you. And you know what? In this case, it might be important to first bring down the opacity of that pink car so that you can actually see. We're not making the tire, we're making the hole, right? So you need to see where to put that hole. So go ahead and select your pink car with the selection tool. Last week, I taught some shortcuts of how to grab that selection tool. So if you click the V on your keyboard, it quickly gives you the black selection tool, so you don't have to keep going back to the top every time. So go ahead and get the V on your keyboard. Okay, now select.
Wait, where am I going? Selecting the car.
Select your pink car, and then go over to the right where you see the fill and make it bring down its opacity a little bit. No, down,
Right.
down, yeah. Opacity down, and then on the right, there you go. Just bring it down like 80%, just a little bit, so that we can see through. Yeah.
Okay.
So that you can have an idea. Now you see it's the well above the tire. That's how big the hole needs to be. So now you go grab that green circle that you made, put it up there, and maybe it needs to be bigger because that'll be the size of the tire. So you need to make it a bit bigger and put it up again a little bit. That's about good. And now make a copy so that you don't have to have a different shape. Select it, hold down select it again. And a quicker way, you have to select it first. A quicker way than Control Paste would be hold down the Alt and Option key again, Alt key, and then just drag your mouse and you'll make a copy of it. So hold down your Alt key right now. We should see your arrow. There we go. And now click and drag and you'll pull out a copy. Yep. There it is.
Okay.
And put it in the right place. Cool. Now select the cloud and the 2 green wheels. It's still calling it a cloud, the car and the 2 green wheels. Now go grab again the shape builder tool on the far left. Cool. Put it again in negative mode by holding down your Alt key. And then drag across the 2 green wheels. Put it down, put it in negative mode by holding down the Alt key. Good. And then just drag across the green. No, you don't want to get rid of the car. You want to get rid of the wheels. So only across the 2 green parts of that wheel. No, left, you need it to be on a minus. You need to hold down the Alt key. See that arrow under, see the little minus or plus that shows up when you hold down the Alt key?
Yeah.
Now drag just across the green wheels.
Just on this one.
Yeah. Up and down. Yeah. And then go to the other one.
Okay.
Cool. You got your shape. Awesome.
Thank you.
Woohoo! Well done. That's great. Okay, anyone else need a hand with any of getting all the way to the body of the car? All right. So thank you, Leticia, for sharing your screen and being coachable and willing to make it happen, because that really makes a difference in your learning. So cool. Here we have the body of the car, which now I'm going to grab and make a copy of on this page when we're actually putting, I already had one here, where we're actually putting the shape together. And in this case, I believe this one was supposed to be.
We need to see your screen again.
Oh, thank you. As you can see, this is a constant. You better remind me after stopping someone else's share that I keep going and I forget. All right, so we got 5 more minutes. And I need a few other minutes to show people who are on VDI how to sign out correctly from their files, from, you know, the Google Drive and all that. So I'm going to, on my hand, on the man, for me, I'm going to stop right here. This is where I want everyone who's in class to end up. I want you guys to do a bit of a screenshot that you have right now of both, you know, this and this, the working stuff. Like I have this area here too, but you might not have made your little steps here. Do a screenshot of that. And that's what I want you to post on the Padlet. Now, some of you guys might have moved ahead and are beginning to create other parts and pieces, and you're having other ideas and stuff. That's great. Keep doing that if you want. But I'm going to keep going next week with this class when we start creating some of the more complicated parts that are not, you know, just circles and rectangles. And so I'm going to teach you a different tool to get the curves and all that kind of stuff. So I'd rather that if you want to keep doing on your own some of this work, don't complete this one. Otherwise, next week, you won't have any, you'll be redoing it with me and it might not be able to, you'll be redoing what I'm doing, but I keep teaching different tools, right? So I want to teach you different tools. So my hope would be that you would go to the class files maybe and decide, I'm going to copy. One of the things that's been successful, people last class, I gave them this beach house. We never did it in class, but it was always homework where I said, okay, with the tools that you know, choose one of these little beach houses and begin to recreate it, right? And then that'll help you advance in your skills without moving forward on the car as much, so that I can teach you different tools. I taught you some tools with the trailer and other tools with the car. I'm going to teach you other tools with the donut, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd rather keep going step by step on that one. But I want to see in the Padlet, I want to begin to see maybe at first you can only know how to do the rectangles of the house, or maybe you already know how to do that. And then the question is, well, how do you make the leaves or the fish or the whatever? But keep building upon it. And last time Linda delivered a house that I had no idea it was identical to one of these, and then she put some flourishes on it. So yeah, you'll learn a lot of skills if you use something like this, which is it joins a lot of our ideas. So choose whichever house you want and start building it. And then as you learn more tools, you add to it until you have, when you know all of the tools that I'll teach you, you can make all these houses really perfectly well. Okay. So let's save this file, Command or Control S, depending if you're on a Mac or on a PC. And people who are on their own computers, you can just close down and that's it. Life is good. But people who are on VDI, it's a little bit more complicated. So make sure to save this file to start with. We don't want to lose it. Then we can close this file, going to this little X right here. Even if you're going to keep working on it, if you guys are going to be leaving for more than, say, 15 minutes, VDI kind of closes itself down without closing down correctly if there's stillness, right? So if you're at home, leave it open all you want, keep working. But this one, we're not going to save. I'm going to just select this one and not save that one. But for those of you on VDI, you need to sign out and sign in each time. So close your Illustrator by going up to the top right. And now when everything is closed, this is the crucial step. VDI people, I'm going to wait till you tell me that you're here because I need you to follow these steps with me. Lauren, are you here? Leticia, sorry. And who else? Ali. Well, Ali, you know this step. The rest of the Mary, you guys have done VDI for quite a while, and you know, so we'll kind of know how to do this. But
Yeah,
so the only person who's new to VDI is Leticia right now. So head down to this bottom right area where you see the far right of the taskbar and see this tiny little triangle right there. Click on that. Did you find that?
Yes.
And then click on the Google Drive. This is crucial because if you don't do this, next time you open up, your files will say the files are corrupted. They won't be corrupted, but you'll have to do this. So do it now. Then go up to this gears, click on the gears and say preferences. Preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Now go back to the gear again and say disconnect account. You're sure you're gonna, yeah, disconnect. Cool. Now, in a few seconds, you're going to see the whole welcome, open your Google Drive. That's what you want to see so that you know that, there we go, sign into Google Drive. Now you can sign out of VDI because this will meet you next time and you'll sign in again. That's the only one that needs to be signed out of and signed in each time. Now head down to the start button over here on the bottom of the Windows screen, click on that and then click the power button one time. When you click the power button one time, you get the choice to shut down. You're shutting down VDI, not your computer. So make sure that you're shutting down the VDI version, not the one at the bottom. That's your real one. So say shut down. And then once it finishes shutting down, this is, because you've been disconnected, say close. That's only disconnected your Windows computer. Now you need to disconnect from your VDI. So you go over to this top spot right there, click on that guy and say log out. So we're basically backing out the steps that we did to log in. Say okay, and you're set. Now you've cleanly walked yourself out. Next time you start again, you cleanly walk yourself in. So you ought to give you that little bit of time to drag in and out to make sure that you have your files connected. Now I'm going to go over to my handouts and I'm going to make a folder here called catch up. I'm going to say new folder, catch up. And so anyone who needs the files that I did today, right? Because you need to be able to catch up and use this next week because you're not in the same place I am. Ideally, you'll take the week to work your way in there, but just in case you need that help, I'm going to put a copy of the file that I just created in here, okay? So these are the files that this is the file that I just created. So I'm going to copy that, make a copy. And I'm going to put that copy in the Illustrator folder, shared drive. Yep. Cool. So now when I see my Illustrator shared drive catch up, people can download. This is the one I just made. Okay. So if you need to see it or copy it, or if yours messes up or whatever, and I'm going to try to do that always. So if you miss a part of the class and you want to join us the next week and you haven't completed, you can always grab the last bit of my file from here. But ideally, you will have done it yourself during the week, watching the videos. Okay, so now I'm going for a second to the Padlet, and I'm seeing that some people are beginning to post their cards, Ed and Tess and Saul. Okay, so that's awesome. Go ahead and bring your parts and pieces up, everyone else. Craig dropped out. He told me he had to leave early and I didn't see how much he was catching up with. So I don't know if he'll be here to catch up. Anyway, post your pieces. So Leticia, let me show you how this is. And class has been over for 2 minutes. If you need to go, that's fine. I'm just pointing out that you probably closed before doing your screenshot, Leticia. I forgot.
Yeah, I screenshot on the iPad, so I saved.
Oh, you did a
iPad.
screenshot of the iPad. Okay. So then click on the link for the Padlet that I gave you here, or if not, in the handouts, I have the Padlet handout over here. How to use your Padlet. I have the link in there. Okay, so you can click on it there and it'll take you to the Padlet, and then you click on this little plus sign at the bottom right and you put in your name. Okay, so make sure to put your name so we know who made it, and then you can click on this first icon and go find wherever it is. And so my screenshot, for example, it sits on my desktop. You would have to do it from your, probably if you did a screenshot, it's in your camera roll. Okay. So do that and then say connect and it'll show up there, and then say publish and it'll pop in here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Again, I'm sorry, but I need to go because I'll be teaching for another 4 hours in a few minutes. So I need to go and take a short break.
Thank
Great
you.
seeing you guys. If you have any questions, email me and I'll see you guys next Friday. Get some fun work done during the week. Use these tools to create your own, balloon or airplane or something and post some of the stuff that you're making, okay?
Right. Thank you.
Bye. Adios. Bye, Saul.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.